Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The mayor has called the meeting to order. Councilmember Kaplan. Here. Councilmember De La Cruz. Councilmember Gross. Councilmember Holloway. Councilmember Kelly.
Dr. Kelly.
Mayor Lindsay.
Here.
Vice Mayor London.
Here.
We do have a quorum of the mayor. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Rise. I will be waiting for council members who are approaching.
I'm here.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Mayor, with your indulgence, we have with us tonight Representative Jose Javier Rodriguez that he would like to address the council and the public.
Absolutely, State Representative. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being so responsive to this community. I know you reached out to me and you had some updates, specifically one of your biggest projects this year, which was the issues with Turkey Point. Thank you for being here.
Correct. Good evening. It's good to see you all. Jose Javier Rodriguez, State Representative, representing a district that includes Key Biscayne. Just a thank you to you all for making my job easy. I know you hear from many of you of issues going on here, and some of you travel up to Tallahassee during legislative session to advocate for the issues affecting your constituents. I want to thank you for that and commend you for that attention. I think, if I may, can just hit on a couple points, because I know you have a lot of business tonight in terms of what happened this legislative session that affected your constituents the most. I would say two things that I hope to be putting in front of you. One is the most recent post-session newsletter, which hits on in greater detail some of the topics that I believe affect this district the most. And secondly, an op-ed.
Excuse me.
God bless you. And secondly, an op-ed that talks about some of the longer-term priorities we're focusing on here in Miami-Dade. And then I can certainly touch on the Turkey Point issue as well. Briefly, in terms of some of the priorities that were most important to you all, I think two of them are budgetary. One of them was a stormwater project related to the K through 8. That we were able to get in the final budget the full amount requested. Unfortunately, that was vetoed. And I think the reason why I'm mentioning that is so that you all understand that was not on the merits. That was, to be honest with you, for political reasons. I can explain that a little bit more in detail. But just so that you all know, we will not give up on that. That is an item we can continue working for. With respect to the maintenance and operation issues related to Crandon and the fact that there's a state park, folks going to the state park have to traverse the village. The fact that there were extra funds put in for signalization and maintenance issues there, that was successful. And in talking with your lobbying staff, I know that's something that, the fact that there are state funds appropriated that would benefit the county in terms of operation, I think that hopefully allows us to work together, try to use that for some leverage on some of the signalization issues I know that you're dealing with here. Two other things that I think are significant developments and I think have to do with overall positive trends in the legislature. One was the budget was almost unanimous this year, and that's something that has not happened in quite a while. There are three things that I would attribute it to. Really two things. One, the Fair Districts process has reached its conclusion, which is that several of the legislative districts have been completely redrawn, and in the Florida legislature, that's the state Senate. And that really did have a moderating impact on a lot of the rancor that has been going on in Tallahassee between the Republican Senate and Republican House. Another dynamic is the governing style of the governor has helped sort of galvanize legislators to work together across the aisle and from one chamber to another. such that there were things that I didn't think I would see happen in my tenure in the legislature, but we were able to negotiate to get those done. And the one thing that I will mention, which is the most important, is $428 million were added to the budget to make sure that education funding increases for K through 12 did not rely almost entirely on local property taxes. If I can explain that dynamic, it's important. It's a little bit, it requires some explanation. Every year there are increases in base K through 12 education funding. But every year, a larger and larger and larger share of that increase comes from money the state requires us to raise locally through property taxes rather than being state revenue. So if the governor had had his way in terms of the proposed budget, the state would have put in 49% of the base K through 12 education funding, which would have meant we would finally have crossed the threshold, and the state would have been a minority stakeholder in a base education funding, which is extremely dangerous, I think, in terms of the state's role in education. The fact that there are $428 million extra that come to our local school districts to make sure that we can fund education without relying on property, almost exclusively on local property tax raising potential, I think is an important trajectory. And finally is the Miami-Dade delegation. I have the honor for this last session of having served as the vice chair along with Jose Felix Diaz, who's the chair of the delegation. And I'm happy to report that a lot of the work that was started by Jose Felix Diaz's predecessors, State Representative Eddie Gonzalez, Senator Anita de Flores, prior chairs, has continued in the sense that we are trying to work more cohesively as a delegation and trying to work toward longer-term priorities. This session, we were able to accomplish almost everything that was on our priority list as a Dade delegation. Pilot program that tries to deal with the rates of Hep C and HIV infection in Miami-Dade, and also a policy measure that will help the school boards in terms of basically save millions of dollars every year in sort of procedural issues in terms of how they collect and send taxes to Tallahassee. I feel like I've covered only a little bit, and yet I sort of probably feel like I've spoken too long here. I'd be happy to address any questions you have either here or afterwards. And like I said, the newsletter addresses a little bit more in detail some of the other issues that I think impact us. Look forward to continuing working with you.
Thank you. I think Mr. London wanted to mention.
Senator, before they had an equalization formula for education throughout the state, various counties were donor counties, other counties received money, primary donor counties, Palm Beach County, Collier County, based on a number of different factors. Do those same factors still take place today? Or does the equalization formula still take place today?
So the way I would address that question is that there's what used to be called, well, what is called the district cost differential.
Well, that was part of it, yes.
Yeah, and that's probably the best way of talking about what you're talking about, and which is that in the 90s we used to get more beneficial treatment under that funding formula because it's more expensive to educate here and because we have populations that are more expensive to educate. That has not been fixed. We still, between Broward and Dade, we lose hundreds of millions of dollars every year that we would otherwise have been getting because of that funding formula. And when I talk about some of the dynamics in the Dade delegation, the process that we went through last year was to elaborate long-term strategic objectives. One of the problems with the delegation locally is it tends to be session to session. And I've worked with some of my colleagues on trying to figure out some longer-term objectives that maybe we achieve after I'm no longer in office, but we work toward chipping away at it. Because it's a strategic objective for Miami-Dade. And I think when we talk about it, the number one issue among us is absolutely those funding formulas to make sure that we're not at a disadvantage in terms of what our public education system receives.
But again, funding capacity was also based, like you said, on ratables, on what the capacity was to tax, and were we taxing our fair share compared to other places to raise the money for that equalization formula, which created the differential depending where you were in the state and all the other factors that got into it. And the fact that our ratables are going up so fast because of what's been building here is really working to a disadvantage to us, isn't it, in that equalization formula?
You're absolutely right. There's two dynamics. The dynamic that I was talking about that we were successful with the legislature this year was a dynamic of, with education increases, 85% of it comes from local property taxes. Some years it's 90, right? So the state's skin in the game is very small, and they're requiring us to raise money. That's one issue. The other issue is, from that pot of education money for the public school system, what part comes to us and on what basis? Those funding formulas have yet to be changed. That's a priority for the day delegation. They're related, as you say, because property taxes are volatile, and they've increased, and because of the property values have gone up so much here in Miami-Dade, that percentage share is even worse in South Florida. Palm Beach County, I think, and Miami-Dade are the two worst places in terms of that balance. So you're absolutely right. That hasn't happened, but that's one of the things we're trying to
And there's nothing you really can do about that right now.
No, absolutely, there is. Sorry,
No, that's.
through the chair, I guess, through the...
Thank you very much.
No, there is something we can do about it. But like I'm saying, it has to be a long-term strategic objective, because you're basically, there are 24 state representatives and senators in this area. We have to work collectively and strategically together first and partner with Broward and Palm Beach to change that. That's how long-term how we can change this. Because it was changed on us in the 90s by a similar tactic. Basically, the rest of the state ganged up on us, right? And so it's going to take a while for us to sort of build the working capacity and to be able to change that for our community so that we don't get shortchanged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item of the mayor is brief comments by council.
Do you have any comments? Dr. Kelly?
Just to let people know that there's going to be the park opening on Saturday at Hampton and Heather of the neighborhood park at 9 a.m. and we invite everyone to participate. I won't be there, I'm out of town, but everybody else will.
Mr. London?
I think I should apologize for my lack of choice of words at the last council meeting when I wanted to say someone was really misinformed or misleading, and I used the word lying, and I really shouldn't have said that, so I definitely apologize.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
May I just thank everyone for a real outpouring of love and support, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
And last, a little shout out to my daughter, Christina Lindsay. She's at her math team dinner tonight. Her math team came in first in the state in terms of private schools, third overall. And I missed her dinner, but I understand that she was elected president for next year of the math team. So it goes to show girls are good at math.
Congratulations.
And I think we can go forward, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next item of the mayor is special presentations, request for qualification for professional services.
Mayor, if I may, this is an important evening. We've talked about this, we've put this out to RFQ, and now we have the presentations. I'm going to be recommending this evening that the village council select 3 of the 5 consultants and authorize the village manager to enter into negotiations for a continuing service agreement with each consultant. If contract negotiations fail with any proposer, the village may undertake negotiations with alternative respondents. After successful negotiations of the continuing service agreements, the proposed agreements will be presented to council for recommendation for award and execution. You have before you this evening, or you will have before you this evening, the 5 firms that were shortlisted. They are the firm of Calvin, Giordano and Associates, the Giordano Group, EAC Consulting, Stantec Consulting Services, and Tetra Tech. What I'd like to do is, they have been notified that they are requested to give a 15-minute presentation to the village council, followed by a 5-minute question and answer period. And those that are not presenting will be asked to be sequestered, and they will follow the fire chief out into a room across the way, if that's the will of the council. All right, then, if I may, I would like to bring up the Calvin, Giordano and Associates group. We're doing this in alphabetical order, and everybody else will go with my fire chief, please. Thank you. While they're setting up, remember that what we're looking at this evening is the following disciplines that the village felt needed to be processed in the RFQ. You're not leaving, are you? I see. General civil engineering, transportation planning and engineering, environmental engineering, and landscape architecture. What happened? I can't throw them out. They can stay. Who is not with Giordano and
Giordano.
everybody else?
I think they're all across the street.
Okay. Wow.
You gonna,
I'm sorry.
or not?
Proceed.
But not for you, sir. Do you have the timer on, Madam Mayor?
Would this by chance be Mr. Kurt Kaiser?
Yes.
Yes, I would like to introduce Mr. Kurt Kaiser from Giordano Group.
Don't worry, the timer is not for you, sir.
There you go.
Thank you.
Let me keep track, Ram. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Kurt Kaiser, Director of Engineering for Giordano and Associates. And should we be successful in securing a contract for services under this contract, I'll be the primary contact and client liaison for your project team. I'm here tonight to speak to you about the village's capital improvement program and how CGA can help you and your staff successfully implement that plan, and to make our case for becoming one of your consultants going forward. Where's my, okay, there you go. All right. Giordano was founded in 1937 in Hollywood, Florida, and we're headquartered in Port Everglades, at the entrance of Port Everglades. So we're a local firm. We're a small firm. We've been in business for almost 80 years now here in the South Florida market. We have a head office in Fort Lauderdale, and we have been successful in providing ongoing professional services to municipal clients in the largely in the Broward and Miami-Dade area. We've over the last 3 decades, we've established some long-term relationships and a pretty strong presence in both Broward and Miami-Dade County. All right. We have established an experienced team of professionals to manage and execute the work under this contract. As you can see here, the boxes highlighted in green are strategic teaming partners that will provide some sub-consulting services. The boxes in blue are all of the in-house services that will be provided by our Giordano and Associates employees and personnel under this contract. So I'd like to introduce some of our team members tonight. Here to my right is Tammy Cook-Whedon, our Director of Landscape Architecture. Sitting here is Paul Catledge. He's with Nutting, who will be providing our geotechnical engineering services. Here is Juan Calderon, who will be providing traffic data acquisition services under the contract. Eric Chernevsky is our traffic engineer, will be providing and heading up the team that provides transportation and traffic engineering services. In the back, we have Jimmy Messick, who's a civil engineer. We'll be heading up our civil engineering team. Beside Jimmy is Penny Cutt with Coastal Systems, who will be providing our coastal engineering. And Sandra Lee is our environmental specialist, who will be providing our in-house environmental expertise. In addition to the team members that are here tonight, we also plan to have be providing surveying services and construction management services in support of projects to help you best implement and successfully deliver the projects on the plan. So I guess the question is, why should you choose CGA? So as I noted, we're a local firm. We're not a national or international firm. We're founded here in this market. We have ties to this market. We're committed to the South Florida community. We're committed to understanding the village's needs, and we would like to work as an extension of the village staff. We'd be in constant communication with your staff to implement the projects and the plan as an extension of them and to provide the service that we think you're deserving of and would desire under this contract. In addition, We are municipal experts. We provide municipal services and have for 3 decades. And we do it largely in coastal communities who have some unique needs and issues that you deal with. And we have quite a bit of experience in dealing with those. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your capital improvements program, which we have reviewed, and how we can offer services to help you implement that plan. So when we reviewed your capital improvements plan, we were able to identify about 5 categories, which largely mirror the categories identified in the RFQ. Specifically, your traffic and facilities studies and plans, parks and rec facilities, including some turf replacement programs, electrical and street lighting upgrade program, streetscape improvements, and beach and dune renourishment projects. So on the traffic, facilities, and studies, the 3 projects identified here are identified in your plan, specifically the additional golf cart parking at Ocean and Heather, a civic center parking study, and a separated bike lane study. We have a similar experience that we've recently completed in some local towns, cities. Specifically listed here, you'll see downtown Boca Raton. We did a study for them. We did one for downtown Surfside. We've also done studies in Key West, Pompano, and Memorial Hospital. These are recent studies we've done. Specifically similar in character to what we think you're experiencing here would be the studies we did for Boca Raton and Surfside, who experienced similar type congestion, lack of parking. And in those studies, we were able to identify and encourage some alternate modes of transportation to try to mitigate some of the issues, specifically use of golf carts, bicycles, and foot traffic pedestrians. So we successfully implemented those plans for them, and we think we can do the same to you. We don't know that we can solve all your issues, but we think we can mitigate some of them and help you in certain situations. Also in the capital improvement program, you've identified some park and rec facilities, specifically the beach park, the library, community center expansion, park right out here at 530 Cannon Park, Village Green Dog Park, and Presbyterian Church playing field. We have quite a bit of experience in parks and rec areas. Recently, we completed design and construction of a couple of parks in Bay Harbor Islands that we think are of similar character and magnitude to some of the parks you have here. Specifically, there's a park at 98th Street and one at 92nd Street. These are both walk-to neighborhood parks, similar to some of yours. These projects include some emphasis on branding and creating some high-quality environment. Both parks provided a dog park component to them, slightly different in style between one and the other. The park at 92nd Street had a passive use area out here with some outdoor exercise equipment, similar to a park course. The park at 98th Street was a little bigger and we had a little bit more room to work with. So in that park, we include a restroom facility, a splash pad, and 2 different covered playground equipments, one for toddlers and one for larger kids to try to segregate the larger kids from the toddlers. There's also at this park a finely graded open area for leisure activities and use for frisbee or playing catch. And additionally, we have quite a bit of experience with ball fields, playing fields, that being some natural grass fields like this park at Vista Park in Weston. We've done a lot of natural grass parks, and we've done a few, recently quite a few, artificial turf parks. So we feel that we've become expert in artificial turf versus natural grass. There's quite a few options, quite a few considerations. We don't feel that there's one one solution universal for everybody, but we can walk you through the trade-offs and the proper decision-making process for you and arrive at the based on your goals and budgetary considerations, long-term maintenance, things like that. the proper solution for the village and what you guys want to accomplish. Another category is of projects included in your CIP is electrical and street lighting upgrades, including the 4 projects identified here. We have an LED replacement program. We've done that for a few cities, most recently City of Weston, where we upgraded all the lights in Weston to LED. We've also done decorative lighting in a number of towns. And the project identified here is specifically Sunny House Beach. We did 174th Street. We did some decorative fixtures. We used some high cutoff fixtures, which is typical what we do. Those reduce light pollution. The picture in the lower right-hand corner, let me see if I can do this without advancing the slide. This picture here is a before picture. You can see the glare, and without the cutoff, you get a lot of light pollution. Let me just advance the slide. You get a lot of light pollution. The cutoff also darkens everything around it, which provides in our coastal communities a better environment for sea turtles. So we found that to be advantageous. Our typical lighting upgrade project would involve us going out and analyzing existing lighting, specifically this light sources and light patterns, figuring out where the issues are, recommending some upgrades, running the new light distribution software, and then developing that plan to give you what you need. When the project is constructed complete, we would go out and do an as-built photometric study to ensure that the results of the construction match your expectations and the intent of the plan. With that, I'd like to bring up Tammy Cook-Whedon to discuss some streetscape improvements and the beach and dune nourishment project.
Hi. We have worked on a lot of different mid-sized landscaping projects, which is on your CIP program. Kurt just mentioned the street lighting on the street signs. We've done custom directional signage for the city of Weston, which we also did custom bus shelters for the city. On the village crosswalk safety improvements, Eric has worked on a lot of those types of programs. The resurfacing of East Crandon, except Holiday Colony, our civil engineers have worked on, and Ocean Lane Drive streetscape master plan. We've done numerous master plans. And we've included a map to show the green spaces for your master plan, which are vitally important. These spaces are critical for public access, as you know. The Village Green, Village Civic Center, Crandon Boulevard, community open spaces, and of course your village parks. The streetscape improvements help to tie together civic spaces, together building networks and public spaces. We have successfully developed streetscapes which focused on branding to distinguish communities while creating walkable, livable spaces. The ultimate value, to create better communities. We have permitted dune planting, dune restoration. Pardon me, I went the wrong way. I'm going backwards. There we go. The dune restoration projects that we've been a part of have been for Pompano Beach, where we've done the dune restoration, and also we've got 3 projects for the city of Miami Beach, where we're doing ADA access, extensive public outreach, which is part of that project, and also a beach pathway, which links the pathway all the way down the beach. We've also got Coastal System International with us, and They have been doing a lot of your work. They've done coastal engineering, beach nourishment design and permitting, sea turtle lighting ordinance, a marine biology and hydrographic surveying, and securing FEMA funding, and also construction administration services. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kurt to go over methodology.
How much time they have?
Thank you, Terry.
We have.
Typical project methodology would be that we would receive some notification from your staff or project representative that it was time to move forward with the project. At that point, we would come, have a meeting, scope it out, try to understand the schedule, the scope, the timeframes, and the project goals, so we can better give you what you're looking for in the end. Once we understand that, we can prepare a work authorization. Once that's approved and we receive notice to proceed, first thing we do is gather a team up, be sure everybody understood the project scope, time frame, and budget. We would develop a conceptual plan and have that reviewed to be sure we start off on the right track by your team.
Whenever, please wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we would keep your team informed throughout the process. That's the biggest thing, is that we like to communicate and be sure that you know what's going on and we know what's going on with you throughout the entire process. So real quickly, with that, I guess the question becomes, I'd like to reiterate, why do we think you should select CGA to be a consultant for you? Again, we're a local firm. We're committed to understanding your needs. We'll communicate with you throughout the project. And we have extensive expertise with municipal contracts and with coastal communities. So with that, I'd like to open the floor up to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Council members, do we have any questions? Mr. London.
Show electrical and lighting. What's your experience in underground electric?
I'm sorry,
What is your experience in the installation of underground electric in various communities? Do you have any experience?
Oh, yes. We have 3 electrical engineers on staff. We do roadway lighting, we do
No,
park lighting.
that's not my
we do
question. Sorry. My question is, assuming we decided to put underground
undergrounding
electric.
Undergrounding of FPL?
Yes.
Yes, we've done that quite a bit. In fact, we just did it recently in Dania Beach.
Anywhere else?
Yes, Tammy, help me out. We've done it in Weston. We've done it. We've done it in a number of municipalities.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Some of our staff actually works for FPL.
Our current electrical engineer used to be an FPL employee, so he's got good contacts there and has been very instrumental in making those things happen.
Okay. Do you have experience not only in the installation, but the costing and feasibility of that type of project, or you strictly have the engineering capabilities?
No, we can do the costing as well.
Okay, thank you.
We do that routinely.
One question.
Yes, Mr.
Among
Kaplan.
the municipalities that are doing fields, athletic fields, say in the last 2 years, what is the percentage of times you're seeing natural turf compared to the percentage of times you're seeing artificial turf? And what are the reasons for the decision?
Recently, it's been overwhelmingly artificial. Do you agree, Tammy?
Yes, we're changing over, we're doing a lot of retrofits to fields because of the wear and tear on the fields.
Yeah. So, I would say it's better than 3 out of 4. Probably 4 out of 5 parks that we do are going artificial. Mostly, I would say it has to do with playability, the demand for the fields. The communities we do it in don't want the downtime after rain, you know. One of the big sports down here is soccer, so we do a lot of soccer fields. And the soccer programs are big. They want those kids to be on the field.
How often are they multifunctional? In other words, not just rec use?
I would say most of the time. Most of the time, if you need me to put a percentage on it, 70% probably.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next group heading across from the hallway is going to be the Giordano group. And here they are. Mr. Cordino, welcome. Please. Representing tonight and speaking on behalf of the Cordino Group will be Mr. Joseph Cordino and Mr. Carlos Alcantara.
Good evening.
Good
Thank
evening.
you for having us today. Let me turn my presentation on, and we will get going.
We don't have one for them.
Wonderful.
Oh, it's coming.
Something happened to your,
A piece of paper.
Yeah,
Here.
security alert. I don't know how to do it.
here, mister.
Thank you, sir.
That,
Thank you, sir.
gonna need it. In the interim, why don't we introduce the team, introduce themselves. I'm Joe Cordino with the Cordino Group. Good to see you again.
Carlos Alcantara with the Cordino Group. Jason Cummins, Timber, Coastal Engineer.
Justin Friedman with E-Sciences for Environmental, Ecological.
Hi, I'm Eddie Ning. I'm both with the Cordino Group.
Ken Gardner, Rosenberg Gardner Design, Landscape Architects.
Breivik Engineering,
Joe, this picture of you, was it taken at a Prince concert or where?
Did quality control check that document before it went out the door. It's not my favorite shot, but it's a summertime photo.
That or a Grateful Dead concert.
I'll take the Prince concert. Better for my reputation at this point in time. That was the No Shave November, and they scheduled the pictures at the wrong time.
At least you saved substance, but I'm still gone.
My wife wouldn't let me.
Well, in the meantime, I understand my mic was off, and
Now you're on.
now I'm on. So my apologies if my comments were not heard before.
Perfect. Well, I'm afraid to turn it on, so I will just kind of do it. Let's see here. We'll do it like that. Does that work? All right. Well, I'm going to try to
Peter?
slide you.
Peter, I think Mr. Corradino wants to get rid of the
I'm going to put it on and see if it works.
side.
Is it?
There you-
We're up and running. Great, thank you for having us. I really appreciate it. We're going to be relatively quick tonight. We know you're in a hurry. You've got a lot of stuff going. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our team, some of our experience, some of the things that we do, introduce ourselves to you, and then we'll go into some of your questions. I think that's probably going to be most important for you. So I'm Joe Cordino. I'm going to be the principal in charge of this contract, and Carlos is going to be our project manager. I'm going to be the day-to-day contact that you have on this contract. So everything that you need to do, we'll start with me. We'll distribute it out to the team, make sure that we put, no matter what you need to do, we put the group in place that can handle it very well. You can see we have a full team that handles the geotech, the environmental engineering, the coastal management, the surveying, the stormwater, and the landscape architecture. Not only that, but the civil and the transportation and planning that we do. This is a picture that we have of our org chart for each of the disciplines. We've got it here. It's hard to read because it's pretty deep. We want to show that we have a lot of staff amongst our group to cover just about anything you need. We run 3 or 4 deep in every discipline. So really, what I wanted to explain to you tonight is why would you select us? What separates us from the other team? What separates us? Why would we do this better? And my primary reason is we understand these type of contracts. What we do is we specialize in working for municipalities. So we understand these contracts are focused on professional service for cities, a lot of times small cities. We've done this work extensively. 4 cities in South Florida. Cities are different than agency work. They come with the agencies are bigger, the contract amounts are bigger, their professional bureaucracies. Every city's different. They're smaller. Every contract has twists and turns, and we understand that. We're very responsive to those needs. And we like the challenges, and we're actually very good at the challenges of working for local governments, because we never know what's going to happen when we get from the administrative building to the council chambers, and everything can go to heck, and you oftentimes need to get it back on the right path, so we're real good at that. And we also understand the challenges of working for Key Biscayne. You're very unique in our world of South Florida. We understand the challenges that you have relative to the growth and the demographic shifts. We understand your environmental issues that you have out here. And we understand that as a city, we need to work, and with a small, tight government, we need to work within the budgets. So I like to think of us as a different breed of company. We are a mid-sized firm. Giordano has about 150 people in about 6 offices across the country, but we can compete with the big guys anytime we want. We're a kind of a small local firm with international capabilities, and I think that is great. It's a great power to have for a local community. One of the things that we're particularly good at is not only the planning, the engineering, the technical side of it, but it's in communications with the staff, with the elected officials, and with the community as we go through these projects. Because in these environments, it's very demanding. When you start to develop a project, it could be a technical engineering project or a planning project, and people want to know why, what's happening, why it's happening, and why the decisions were made. And we spend a lot of time being able to work with the community to explain those types of decisions. So we can also help you with a lot of interagency coordination. We work a lot with other cities. We can help with the county, the MPO, the permitting agencies. We provide conflict resolution on a lot of our projects, because you're always going to be crossing jurisdictions one way or another with either another entity or somebody else's infrastructure that may be under the ground. And we communicate with our elected officials very well in other jurisdictions and at the state levels and the county level. So before I turn it over to Carlos to explain some of this stuff in more depth, these contracts are particularly important to small local governments, because you typically don't carry tons of staff to be able to address random concerns on a basis. So to be able to reach out and grab a consultant that has a technical expertise in one of these areas is very important. And we understand what you need. You need high-quality professional planning and engineering services, and you need it fast, and you need experience. We understand you're the closest level of government to the people, so when you make these decisions, you may walk outside, you may get an earful from the people in Publix, because you're right there, and we need to be responsive to that. So what I think you should demand from your consultants, flexibility, patience, expertise, the ability to explain complex engineering in simple terms, so that not only you can understand it, the technical staff, but the citizens can understand it, and then be able to implement complicated solutions to your projects, because not everything we do in these arenas is simple. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Carlos, who will go through the bulk of the technical presentation.
Thanks, Joe. So real quickly, this slide just represents our experience. Just to reiterate what Joe was mentioning, this is something that we do. This is the strength of Giordano, are these sorts of municipal contracts. We do them throughout the South Florida market. We currently have a planning contract here with you guys in Key Biscayne, and would love the opportunity to be able to provide the engineering portion as well. Just to run down some of the components that you guys have asked for as part of the RFQ. General civil design, some of the contracts that are shown here are some of our current latest contracts that we're doing these exact same sorts of services. We have a contract in Fort Lauderdale, City of Sunrise. We've had one in Hialeah for over 20 years where we've done over 100 of their roadway improvement projects throughout the years. So we can provide roadway design, parking lot design, street lighting, anything that would fall underneath that umbrella, including anything from construction services, which we'll get to in a second, as well as helping you guys figure out what projects and what the best solutions would be from a feasibility engineering study type standpoint as well. We're familiar with executing Safe Route to School projects, as well as FDOT lab projects, or projects that are funded from other sources than just city funds. And that's something that we can also assist the city with. We've brought on Ribic Engineering to help quell any stormwater, sea level rise solutions, canal management solutions that they've done. They're one of the experts here in the South Florida market. I've done a lot of work in Miami Beach, as you can see here. which are a lot of the similar problems that the village will experience as the sea level continues to rise. And so they're one of the experts in the field, and we feel confident they could address any of the issues that occur here in the village. Construction management, we have a full CEI group in-house in Giordano. We do this work for not only municipalities, major DOT projects as well. We served as a construction oversight on the I-595 expansion project, and we can go down to a small municipal project as well and perform any of the construction management functions that you may need as part of these contracts as well. Geotechnical, we have PSI. They're one of the most respected geotech firms. They work on all of our municipal contracts. So one of the things that should be pointed out about our team is that not only are there well-respected firms, because pretty much any of these teams that you guys have shortlisted can do it technically, but we bring a lot of experience of working together, proven experience on contracts in the past that we have delivered these sorts of contracts successfully for many municipalities. PSI is one of our major partners in that endeavor, as well as Longitude Surveyors. You can see a lot of, they've done a lot of surveying here out on the village. They've worked on several projects from a surveying standpoint, and we use them almost exclusively for many of these contracts. Joe will be running any of the traffic planning engineering needs from the team. In addition to all the work that we've done here in the village, from the mobility plan to the Safe Routes to School study that we've done, we do a lot of this work for many other municipalities as well, as you can see from the list, the bulleted list there on that slide. So we're confident that we could help you guys with your needs there, from parking studies to traffic calming, anything under that umbrella as well. We brought along 2 environmental firms to supplement our services to cover the environmental and coastal engineering needs. So the first firm is eSciences, and you can see some of their experience here. As well as for sand management and coastal engineering, we've brought along Cummins Setterberg, who was recommended to us by eSciences, and they have a lot of knowledge in this field as well. We also have Rosenberg Gardner to supplement our team for the landscape architecture. We've worked with them on various municipal contracts. They've been on a lot of teams with us. We're fully confident that they can deliver any of the needs under this contract as well. So in our experience with you guys, we know that you guys have a lot of priorities when it comes to many of these projects, and you'd like to see those priorities be brought out in whatever project is executed under this contract, whether it be providing multiple modes of transportation or trying to accommodate them on projects through the use of golf carts or exclusive parking for the golf carts. Implementation of LED lighting is one of the sustainable ideas that has happened. We're experts in trying to optimize the traffic and the safety. We helped with the implementation of the flashing rapid beacons that you have out here on Crandon. We've looked at several traffic and safety issues out here throughout the village. So it's something that we know what your issues are. So when we're looking at any of these projects, we'll try to address as many of these concerns as possible. We'll also try to implement any sustainable practices that we can throughout the development of any project. And you can see some of the items, including some of our sea-level experiences that we have on the team. So our process for getting these task work orders, if you will, under these contracts executed is basically you guys are going to call Joe or myself, and we're going to come and meet with you, project manager, whoever on the staff is, assemble the appropriate team for whatever the scope of the assignment is going to be, come up with a scope and a price, negotiate that with you guys, and then immediately get to work so that we can start bringing the vision essentially to life for the project, being in constant communication with not only city staff, but also the community, the residents, any of the stakeholders who are going to be impacted or need to have a say on the project. Deliver deliver within time and on budget, and provide you guys with a solution that's implementable so that you can get it into the ground. Some of the other things that we can provide are funding, grant writing. Eddie, who is doing a lot of work with Joe here in the village right now, helped the village get an over $800,000 grant to implement some Safe Routes to School improvements. We've done this in various municipalities, and it's something that we can continue to do for the village as well, and we'd appreciate that opportunity. So again, as Joe was mentioning earlier, one of the most important things is, some of these projects may not be the most technical things in nature, but what becomes really important is how do we build consensus? How do we engage all of the people that need to be engaged in these projects so that we can build consensus and get through the design and through construction and get things implemented.
I'll serve as a single point of contact once the projects are assigned and get into the design realm, working with the village staff, tracking budget, schedule, any project issues that need to be addressed during the project to make sure that everything is being kept on track. In addition to the citizens, we're also going to be dealing with all, the businesses, the chambers of commerce, any religious groups, homeowners associations, any sort of stakeholders that are impacted to make sure that we have a well-rounded, full consensus for any of these projects. And what that does is essentially not only minimizes unforeseen impacts to the community because everybody's in tune with the project throughout the life of the project, but we're also minimizing any potential impacts to schedule, scope, and possible claims that the contractor can have, because the vision for the project is the same throughout. As soon as we can build consensus, the easier it is to implement and get through design and construction. And so that's something that we really believe in and are proud of our record that we've been able to achieve that. Obviously, quality is a big thing. We're never going to submit anything to you that hasn't been reviewed and back-checked and gone through our rigorous process. Not here to bore you with the minor details of us stamping plans and back-checking all calculations and designs, but it's something that we do. It's something that we force our consultants to do, sub-consultants to do, and then we also, on top of it, review anything that comes from sub-consultants prior to you guys ever getting any deliverable to ensure that it's quality and it's something worth your guys' time to review before it ever gets on anybody's desks in the village. There's various, because we've been doing this for so long, there's various mechanisms for us to be able to control schedule and budget. It's something that's important. When you guys give us an assignment and give us a timeline, it's really important that we meet both of these and we do it within budget and schedule. So, identifying the potential risks on every project where things can get held up, not only getting out there and trying to build consensus with the stakeholders, but also talking with outside agencies and getting anything that's outside of our immediate control moving as quickly as possible on a project is one of the big issues, whether it be a utility company or a permitting agency. Interfacing with these agencies as quickly as possible so that we're ahead of the game at all times on the schedule. So if something does happen, we have time and float in the schedule so that we can recover if need be. So, I mean, simply again, as Joe mentioned earlier, you guys are kind of the last line of defense between the residents and the village. And so we're here to act as that buffer and work with you guys to help communicate these ideas and get these projects in the ground. And so we not only interface with the community, the elected officials, the agencies, all of our sub-consultants. We're here to help you guys and foster, the vision that you have for each assignment that's given under these contracts. And we have a great track record of doing so. And finally, why us? Again, I mean, these are contracts that we do. We have successful track record on executing these things. We have experience with the village that I think has been a fruitful relationship. And, everybody from the bottom rung of our staff all the way up to our principals like Joe are actively involved in the projects. Everybody works on these projects. And you'll be dealing with a local staff with local knowledge. But we still have all the resources to be able to deliver this contract for you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have the 5 minutes for question and answers. Mr. London, and then Dr. Kelly.
I'll yield to Dr. Kelly.
Thank you. Dr. Kelly.
Mine's more theoretical, and I wish I'd asked the previous people this, but I think one of the frustrations for us as a council is the time it takes from the conception to the actual creation of many of the public works that we want to do. Is that an issue that you've faced in other governments, and how do you cope with that?
Well, I think that there's always a time crunch. Everybody wants to do the project as quickly as possible. We try to streamline that process as much as we can. And we can give you the minimum amount of time that it takes to be done. And again, cities work a little bit differently than agencies. And people that aren't familiar with working with those municipal expectations, the big agency projects take a little bit longer to do. We're used to working in a compact environment. We'll give you an honest assessment of the minimum time that it will take. You may not always like that. I mean, we do have to understand it, design it, get it through a certain amount of plans. So we're familiar with it, and we try to make those schedules as compact as possible.
Mr. London?
What experience do you have in underground electric as far as converting from above-ground electric to underground electric on your staff? Who in your
Very-
staff
very
has done this
utility
before,
lines.
and in what cities have they done it?
With electric lines, we don't have anybody. We have an electrical engineer on staff who worked, but he, not necessarily for a utility company, so we don't necessarily have the experience for that. We have tons of experience in doing water, wastewater, other underground utilities, but we don't have anyone in-house to do that conversion.
I see that you've assembled a great list of sub-consultants, or whatever you want to call them, partners in the process. Would we be being billed from each one of these individual companies, or would you be billing us directly for everything, just dealing with you?
You will, when we put project teams together, depending on the need, whatever type of project you have, we'll assemble us a team, we'll give you a proposal to do the job, which will include the rates of the project team put together, and it will be multiple, likely multiple consultants that will work on individual projects. You'll receive an invoice from the Giordano group, and you'll pay the Giordano group, and we'll take care of paying the subs.
And how much does the Giordano group mark up all the individual
We do
consultants?
not mark that up.
You're working for free?
We do not mark up our work when we do the invoices from the other guys. Yeah, we basically do that for
You
free.
work for free? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
He's ready.
Excuse me? Okay. Any other questions?
Just an observation, not a question really, but I think you said something along the lines of understanding our goal and helping us to define the project that would be satisfactory to meet the goal. I think in answer to what Mike was observing, sometimes I think we need that kind of help. It's a different thing to understand a need than it is to articulate the specific project that will fulfill the need. And I think part of what we require from consultants may not be adequately expressed on that point. We need that kind of help to be more efficient, I think. So just an observation.
That, well identified. Anyone else? Thank you all for your
Thanks
presentation.
for having us.
Thank
We
you.
Thanks,
appreciate
Joe.
your time.
Thank you.
Nailed, identified our biggest challenge. Are all our things a problem?
The next group will be the EAC Consulting Group.
Yep.
It's kind of psychology.
Yep.
What are we going to do?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
That it says Key Biscayne.
Wait for the glasses on again?
You must, maybe should, I don't know. It's not very big print.
Building, zoning, planning, and public works. I can't read the goddamn thing. Something, priority projects, what's the ongoing projects? That says what? I
This
can't,
is, I don't even know what this is. They evidently pulled some items out of here.
I wish I could read the damn thing.
Myra Lindsay,
Funding,
very nice to
funding.
see you again.
How are you? Mike Kelly.
Hello. What's your name? Michael. Michael, good to meet you.
How are you?
What company you with?
EAC.
They do work for us.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you again.
Right. Where these,
Hey, how's it
Hi,
going?
how are you? Very nice to see you.
This is for the budget,
that's our.
Kelly, nice to meet you.
right?
They got it.
And,
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Some of us did.
No, I remember.
hi, I'm Conchita, the village clerk. Nice meeting you. Thank you. So
Frank Kaplan,
this is
pleasure to meet you.
funded 2016, encumbered. I guess the village,
And then they pulled things out of, yeah,
Thank you.
I don't know.
Right.
What this is
Very nice
deal
to meet you.
other than here's some things we're planning.
How are you?
They can do these things or something like, I don't know, it's sort of confusing.
Ask the manager.
Working with us on the.
I can't remember where.
Conchita Alvarez. Mucho gusto. Nice meeting you.
Oh.
Our budget is online, so anybody can get it. So I don't know if they got it from online or the manager.
Mr. Crooks, I'll allow you to introduce your team, please.
Quarter.
It is
How do you
quarterly.
do? Nice to see you again.
Very nice to see you.
Hi, how are you? Mike Kelly.
Gary. Nice to see you again. Hi. This company work for us.
They are.
Yeah. Stormwater or,
This company also has.
yeah, they,
Interesting, that's two of them.
mobility study,
Yeah.
These guys, they
yeah. And first company, I believe, they were one of the ones that presented a,
We ask if they're willing to change.
they've been before us, but they haven't done any work for us.
Well, they've listed a few things here that they've done for us.
You know, it's, I like,
Good
work,
help.
you know, Joe used to be a council member in Pinecrest, but he was turning, so he's no longer.
So they did some surveys.
Right, they've done all that for us.
I remember you went crazy.
I think so.
Are we ready to go?
We're ready to build.
Great.
Oh, and I think we're happy with these people too.
My apologies.
Restart.
He's
Yeah.
doing our,
He's graciously waiting for you. Okay, he can hear.
Excellent. Okay. Ready? Thank you very much. My name is Mike Adifi, Vice President with EAC Consulting. We're really excited at the opportunity to present to you today on this very important RFQ for professional services for the village of Key Biscayne. I want to start the presentation by giving you some information about the firm, EAC Consulting. We've been doing business in the state of Florida for the past 20 years, or more than 20 years. We have a local base of employees that exceeds 80, and we're a technically certified firm. We're recognized and technically certified by major institutions, including Miami-Dade County and the Florida Department of Transportation. We are an award-winning firm. We've been fortunate to be blessed with awards, nationally recognized awards that are technical and also environmental stewardship awards. 75% of our business is repeat business. We take a lot of pride in saying this. These are opportunities that are provided to us by clients that we have served, and we have served graciously. And they see it fit to reward us by giving us continuous opportunities to continue to serve them. We're a firm that keeps within our office structure several disciplines. As you know, the RFQ requires several disciplines for performance of work. We have those disciplines in-house. EAC, one of our key difference makers is that we have unparalleled municipal experience. More than 30 municipalities we've done work for in the state of Florida and actually in Miami-Dade County. We've worked on more than 40 individual contracts, 400 task orders. We are a long-standing member of the APWA, which is the umbrella organization for the American Public Works Association, and we have an excellent track record of community service. With our experience with municipalities, the key thing here is our specialty is coastal municipalities. We're not just working in any municipality, just coastal municipalities like the village of Biscayne. The good news for today, we have a great project manager, a project manager that I am excited about, that will provide the optimum service required to make this contract a success. Oscar Rubio is a certified professional engineer. He's a fellow with the American Society of Civil Engineers. The American Society of Civil Engineers is the global industry recognized organization in the United States for engineering practice. He's a fellow of that organization. He's also a board-certified environmental engineer. That's unique because he's a civil engineer, but he's also adept at environmental engineer, and he has that combined qualification. Oscar is an accomplished engineer. He has engineered more than 100+ projects. In his young years of experience, he's done a lot of managing of municipal contracts, and I know Oscar is eager to speak to you about what he's going to do on this contract. With that, Oscar.
Thank you, Mike. Council. Basically, what you're looking at our team, EAC, the team that you want to actually select. We have Mike Adifi, who just introduced himself and the firm to you, and he is a client server for the office. He will be actually contacting the city and the village all the time, making sure the client is satisfied with everything else that we do. We have Rick Crooks, our principal, in here with us. You have me as the project manager. You also have here with me my deputy project manager, Mark. We actually set this up, in a way in which we have a quality assurance and quality control portion. People who do not work on this projects that we may do for you, but actually look as a peer review to whatever that we do, so that you have a much better quality team. We do have a public contact, an outreach person, and that's Winsome Bowen. She actually keeps all lines of communication, and most importantly, we have a great team, as you can see, all for general civil engineering, for transportation and planning, environmental engineering, and landscape architecture. The team leaders are the top names, and I bank on them all the time to actually respond to me. Basically, your request for qualifications outlines several things, and among the different things that it outlined, it requires the disciplines of general civil engineering, transportation, and the environmental engineering, and so on. What we've done is, we take a look, and we checked out your CIP budget for the years 2016 to 2020, and within the published data that you have, we have actually identified several projects, which are listed, we have listed in here from what we saw, projects that are going to take place within the next 5 years, according to your budget. So, and we are prepared to actually be able to handle those. We also like to tell you, what about our relevant experience? Well, EAC experience speaks for itself. But the best thing to actually look at how and what our experience is to get, something, that tells you what is it that we have done, such as, everything that we have done with our clients. And okay, in general civil engineering, as you can see, we have streetscape and sidewalks, which are some of the items that actually you have highlighted that you want to be working on. We have done parking garages and parking lots, something that has been discussed at the previous council meetings and the like. We have tremendous experience on sports fields and parks and recreational facilities. Something else that you also have within your budget to look at, and you may identify some of those local projects that we actually highlighted there. We have a tremendous amount of experience with general civil engineering, mainly on water, wastewater infrastructure, with utilities engineering, with stormwater infrastructure. And in addition to that, we also have very good civil facilities and site planning that is required for any kind of major project. And in reality, it's required for just about any kind of project you want to do, if you want to do it properly. Okay, some of the things are really in your budget and have been, at least from the films that I've seen from you, discussed time and time again, have to deal with transportation planning and engineering services. You do have a traffic engineering, traffic impact and safety studies that you want to actually deal with, neighborhood traffic management. Definitely, there has been talk time and time again of actually doing bicycle lanes and pedestrian friendly streets and roadways and intersection design and miscellaneous structures that we may actually, try to work for you. Mainly like the crossings that you have right now in Crandon Park, Crandon Boulevard, similar to that. So in other words, there are quite a few of those things that we know that they're in the making, or at least, in your CIP. We do have the traffic calming devices and design strength on that, signalization and lighting. There was talk about a certain amount of lighting that, at least at the film that I saw from the last meeting, people were talking about lighting and other issues too, but lighting was one of them that was brought up. We have a very, very good background in environmental engineering. We have a sub-consultant that actually has done a lot of these type of work. And as a matter of fact, he's done some of the work, for the village already at this time. In addition to that, there we have also a good command of the marine environmental ecosystem restoration, regional sand management, because, shore restoration is some of the things that you may want to do. On the pictures that you're looking at, the Key Largo Beach at the Marriott is a project that I personally did back in '93 for Gus Bolas, the late Gus Bolas, and it's just down the road in Monroe County. We have with us also a landscape architect, and a lot of the work that you see here is recognized with a lot of awards. And the next thing that I want to bring up to you is project delivery. Okay, project delivery. The village is a small municipality, very small municipality. So we can deliver projects by doing design, bid, build, in which you actually go the traditional method, in which you actually hire a firm, then you put it out for bid, and then you go on to construction. That takes quite a bit of time. You can also do design, build, in which you actually have a criteria package, and from that criteria package, you can actually go and then hire a contractor engineer type team, and then it goes on to construction. You save quite a bit of time. Then you also have the construction management of risk. And on that particular one, what you do is you go a certain amount of design, and at that point, then you actually bring in a contractor. He gives you a bid, and the reason it's called at risk is because then you try to actually meet the time right in there. Okay. The other items that you see there, in reality, they're all for large projects, and they will not be a part of what the city does. With that, I'm going to let Mark tell you about our project approach.
Good evening. My name is Mark Kuntz, and when selected, I would be EAC's deputy project manager for the project. I'll be involved in the day-to-day operations of the project and helping Oscar out. Essentially, what I'd like to do is talk about our team's methodology with respect to project management in general. As you can see, there's 4 basic phases involved in any kind of project, regardless of what type of delivery method is selected. Not moving. Oh. The first method is planning, and this is the method in which a project is born. EAC has extensive experience facilitating our multitude of clients with identifying the needs for particular contracts and also helping them to secure funding. And the second stage is the pre-designer. This is the data collection phase. During this phase, all of the information is gathered. We look at previous studies and any commitments that the city might have made to entities. The third phase, of course, is the design phase itself. During this phase, we actually produce the design documentation and bid packages that are required. And the final phase is the post-design phase. And this is the phase in which the actual construction occurs. EAC has extensive experience working with municipalities in administering contracts, making sure the contractor builds things in accordance with specifications and regulatory requirements. We also believe that project control is very essential to the success of a project. There are 4 basic areas in which control is monitored closely. Document control, that's basically making sure that documents are easy to follow for both the client and for the regulatory agencies. Budget control, obviously maintaining our budget is very essential. We do this by meeting on a regular basis to make sure that the project stays on course with respect to budget and objective, avoiding scope creep. The third area is schedule control. Obviously, delivering a project on time is very essential to meeting the commitments to our client. And the final area is quality control. As Oscar touched on before, we have an established quality control program which involves utilizing staff that aren't involved in the daily operations of a project to assure that we're staying on track with respect to the goals of the project. At this point, I'd like to bring Oscar back up so he can talk a little bit about
Really quick, and thank you. Basically, what you have is, these are projects that the cities actually put budgets on. We came under budget, we met the schedules, and, we actually have gotten nice letters of commendation from all the cities and very nice also grades from the different municipalities and so on. With this, I'd like to pass it on to Rick.
Thank you very much. I'm Rick Crooks, the president of EAC Consultant. Last time I was here before you was for the drainage project. We're happy to have been selected there. As you have heard, we're a locally headquartered firm, 15 miles approximately away from Key Biscayne. I drive that every day, so I can tell you for a fact. We are experienced, full service. We have extensive coastal experience and a lot of familiarity with the village, not just the people with the company, but myself. I've been a 13-year resident of the village. If I were in your shoes, I'd want to make sure that there's somebody on the other side that cares about the village and looks about it. One thing to care about the business, and I care about ESC and our reputation, but it's not a thing to care about where you live, and I do truly care about Key Biscayne, and we'll look out for your best interest.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Now we're going to start the question and answer.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Mr. London and Dr. Kelly.
I see that you have great experience in utilities. Do you have any experience in converting villages or cities from above-ground electric to underground electric? And if so, how many different cities have you done?
Basically, you're right. That's a utility, okay? And to give you an answer in that...
I should say monopoly.
A monopoly, okay. Well, it depends, because if you get in the middle of Palm Beach County and Hendry County, you have a couple of them competing. But down here, you're right, it's a monopoly, unless you have your own generator. Basically, what you have is, the main thing with all of that is coordination with Florida Power and Light, okay? Because otherwise, you're not going to get anything done. So coordination is the key. For example, in our company, we have 3 electrical engineers which are dedicated to all kinds of things electrical. They've done all kinds of work with the MDX and all of the transfer switch stations and everything else that's required right there. Now, to convert a municipality like this, again, the main issue has to do with the coordination with FPL to see how is it you're going to be able to get your loops of the 13.2 kVs all around. You have, from what I have seen and what I, looked in Google, okay, and drove a couple of streets around,
you do have a lot of rear yard services, okay? You want to actually bring them to the front. You don't want to keep them on the back, okay? Because it hinders everything.
But do you have experience doing this?
Well, our engineers do.
No, but as a company, I've been with the company the longest, obviously.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I said I've been with the company the longest, and I think we needed time to think to see if we had done one for a city, and we've never done one for a city. We have done one on transportation roadways, and it's essentially approximately the same thing, but we have not done one for a city.
I also see that, are all these using sub-consultants, or all these people your employees that you list here?
The 85 people that we've listed.
The ones you list here on the.
Oh, no, some of those are subs.
So they're sub-consultants?
Right, some, not all of them are subs. We have 85 people in the company, 85 plus.
No, just looking at the.
I'm not
table,
sure which ones,
Organization table we had here.
I'm not sure which ones are
I mean,
subs.
but some of them are not
Some
your
of-
employees.
Some of them are not us.
Some are not our employees.
And then, would you, since these other people, would you just be billing us directly? Or we get bills from the surveyor, from these people, from the landscape people? Would they all be separate, or would you be billing us directly?
I'm not sure what you mean by direct billing.
Would we get one bill
No,
from
there's
EAC?
no markup. There's no markup on our billing. It's standard practice. We take the sub-consultant's invoice, and we simply pass it on to you all.
So you work for free?
Well, in most cases, we would have an assignment. We would have.
I understand that, but my point being is that you do the work, you get the job,
No,
everything else, you bring them into the thing, and you don't mark it up.
We do a lot of work for the DOT, and we're not allowed to mark up. In the private sector, I know that that's a common practice.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of work for the government, so it's not allowed, so we can't mark up on it.
I'm talking about, we're not the DOT, and we're not the.
I know, but you are a government, you are a government entity, and what I'm telling you is that for government entities, we do not mark up.
Thank you.
I noticed that Coastal Systems is listed as your sub, and it was also listed in the Calvin Giordano as their sub. And,
So is the surveyor.
you know, quite frankly, I think me personally, and probably a few of the other council members, are a little disappointed with the role they played in facilitating the boat show. So my question is, how married are you to them?
We are not married. In fact, we have them. We wanted someone else, but at the time when we were submitting, the company we wanted didn't have their paperwork in place, and so at the day before, we had to change so that we could meet the qualifications. We are not married to them at all. We're not married to any sub-consultant. If we win a project, our sub-consultant does not perform, or the client does, we have the contract, it's not the sub-consultant. We merely give them a sub-consultant agreement, so we change ourselves at any time. And that's one of the advantages of sometimes we focus on what we do best. We use subs for what we, don't do as well, because then if we're not happy, we simply change them. We're not gonna put our reputation at risk for ourselves.
And with regards to our current team structure for this project, we actually have 2 environmental firms on our team, so that offers us the flexibility to use. There's another firm on the team called Smart Sciences. They are also an environmental sub-consultant, so we have the ability to move away from coastal if there's a need to, or add somebody else's.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You mentioned peer review.
Right.
People in your organization that aren't involved in the project looking over the shoulder.
That is correct.
Is that it's an intriguing proposition. Is that a common practice?
Yes.
Our company, it is.
Right.
Right.
Yes, I can't help myself sometimes.
Yeah. No.
But it's something that we pride ourselves on, and in a lot of cases, our clients actually require us to submit the fact that we did what we call a peer review or a duty. We have a standard process where we highlight, somebody goes through, highlights everything yellow, anything they have an issue with, they're marking in red. So then they go back and you have a green check, and then you go through. It's a complete process. For the DOT and certain clients, at the end, we submit our submittal, and we submit also the proof that we went through this process. And it's become a natural thing. It's actually, let me just finish. We have found it actually helps us to be more efficient. If you have a mistake and you carry too far in the process, it not only affects the client, it affects us because we have to redesign it, or something bad happens, we have a lawsuit. So we have actually found that it's in our best interest. So it's in your best interest, but we believe in it. It's in our.
Councilman, there are three things that I typically tell clients. You're worried about your budget, you're worried about your schedule, and you're worried about the quality. But of all those three things, what you're going to remember us by is the quality of the work. And that's why we place a lot of emphasis on making sure that we have a dedicated team outside of the day-to-day design process to review and check things so that we're going with quality delivery.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night. I know you have more here. Do we need to?
The next group up will be Stantec Consulting Services.
Exactly. We bothered you?
One?
Charges a fee.
Favorite
Huh?
company.
What?
Your favorite company.
Stantec. That's Ramon?
Representing
Who's this?
Stantec.
Okay.
Can I go back out again? I don't understand.
How long is this one?
It's ongoing. It's what we used to have on Stantec, where there are to-go consulting project managers. Because we don't have that level of expertise.
Because you see if you notice, you see the same people working. At least Cortina's on us. He says, is it here makes it look like
Do that.
he's good. Working for them. I said, I don't see the same people. They are allowed. Of course. What can I tell you, Gary? It's impossible. What can I tell you? You know that. He's getting ready.
Long time no see you.
Well, thank you.
Silent protest.
Thank you very much.
Ramon, I'll let you introduce your team.
Thank you, Anana.
I'm not going to try.
Good evening.
Hey.
We're ready, Mr. Manager?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Ramon Costello with Stantec. With me today from our team, Sean Campbell, also with Stantec. Tim Blankenship with Moffitt & Nichol.
Kim Gardner, Rosenberg Gardner Design, landscape architect.
Eddie Suarez, longitude surveyor.
Paul Catlett, nutting engineers, geotechnical engineers.
Thank you. Just a couple of things about Stantec. As you know, we've been working with the village for about 20 years. First as C3TS, and now we're, since 2012, we've been Stantec. In that 20 years or so, we've gathered really an institutional knowledge of the village and its infrastructure. It's the same team, essentially, that's been serving you, the same personnel. So we offer that continuity of service. We've been here for you, and we will continue to be here for you, for any assignment that we're given. In that time, we've implemented approximately $40 million in capital projects, including, of course, Crandon Boulevard, the home sewer project, and local public works, public sector is what we do. I mean, we are a public sector municipal firm. Our team, you've met key members of here. Of course, Tim Blankenship is with Moffitt & Nichol. He's a longtime Stantec partner in coastal engineering. You know him from the work he's done here with you. We have Nutting engineers. This is our geotechnical Longitude does our surveying, and of course, Ken Gardner, Rosenberg Gardner Design does landscaping. All have worked on your projects through our time with you. Some of the our team's experience on some of the pressing issues of the town today. Of course, sea level rise and stormwater management, and for all coastal communities in South Florida, of course, is a big deal, and that's something that we're helping you with today. Traffic congestion is another key topic for the village, as well as parking, beach management, of course. Undergrounding of utilities has been spoken about and on and off for the last 10 years. Open space is always a big one, and public safety. In sea level rise and stormwater management, like I said, we're working with the village and implementing some of the outfall improvements and so forth, and the interconnection of the stormwater system. We're also working with the city of Miami Beach on some of the sea level rise projects that are going on there with pump stations and raising roads and so forth, and all their environmental permitting. And we've also worked with the city of Miami on stormwater pump stations for low-lying areas. Our team's experience on traffic congestion and interconnection of traffic systems. As you know, we did Crandon Boulevard for the village. I guess it's been 10 years ago. We did the master plan, of course. The village was very, I don't want to say progressive, but very inclusive in the way that was done, as far as bringing in a master plan committee where it included residents, businesses, both parks, the county, and the village. And we were able to come up with a very inclusive master plan that addressed really all aspects of transportation, bikes, golf carts. We were able to do something about the parking along certain parts of Crandon Boulevard, and then easing traffic flow, and as well as traffic calming to get velocities down. In beach management, of course, we're working with Moffitt and Nickel. Tim has a lot of experience helping you with your beach management program and over a couple of phases, as well as with the vessel exclusion zone and the work over by Nixon Beach and the Mashta Flats, and as well as other beach renourishment projects that we've done throughout South Florida. Undergrounding, we've done a little bit here in the village itself. The image on the right was an underground crossing that was done across Crandon Boulevard when we were doing the work there. We took the opportunity to actually bury some lines there. We did a little bit at Harbor Point, but we've most recently done in Golden Beach, the full undergrounding of the village there is a three-part project that's been completed successfully. All power, telecom, and cable have all been buried. Parks and open space, we've done obviously some parks here, not a lot. Dog park, an ongoing thing, as you know. Ken Rosenberg Gardner have done quite a few parks, including several on Miami Beach urban parks. And we did, along with Ken's firm, the work along Harbor Drive, which also included a little park over there by the yacht club. Other projects that we've done here in the Key, I know it's not a village project, but the Crandon Marina, after Hurricane Andrew, we did the first phase of the floating piers for the county. First job we ever did for you was the bridge in Mashta, which was a design build. We were working with the contractor. We oversaw the whole $21 million water and sewer project construction for the village. Atkins designed it, but we did all the implementation and dealing with the public and all that. We obviously implemented through the Crandon 2 phases of the art in public places, and we've been doing some lighting work for you in some of the neighborhoods as well. Some other services that we offer locally through our local personnel. GIS is an asset management is another thing that more and more municipalities are getting into to manage their infrastructure. We have in-house structural and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering, public involvement, and the green design. We have several LEED certified individuals, as well as Envision, which is the infrastructure, civil infrastructure equivalent of LEED. We pride ourselves on meeting schedule and cost control and quality control. And we've also worked with most of the funding sources that the village has tapped into for meeting some of your infrastructure needs. For example, Crandon Boulevard, we work with the state through the LAP program, implementing $2 million worth of funding through that project. With FEMA on the beach renourishment is something Tim has helped you out with. DEP funded part of the sewer project, as well as EPA. FIND is another one that with the marine work that's gone on, and of course working with the counties, general obligation bond, water and sewer and public works. We're all involved in Crandon and the sewer project. With that, I'll leave you a couple of thoughts, and thank you very much, and open it up for any questions.
Thank you.
How many underground electric systems have you put in? What cities?
Okay, we did Golden Beach, the entire town. That was recently done. We did undergrounding of select lines here.
What?
Certain lines here in the village, at the end of Crandon Boulevard and at Harbor Point. We also did some work in Palm Beach, a limited area.
I'm talking about, like, you said you did Golden Beach.
Yes.
But the entire city you put underground?
Correct.
What other cities?
There really haven't been very many other cities that have gone completely underground. It's very expensive. But we've done bits and pieces in different cities, some of the ones that I mentioned, including here. But very few have actually pulled the trigger and gone all the way and buried their whole systems. I wish I could say more, but honestly, there haven't been that many.
And how much do you mark up your sub-consultants' bills?
We do not mark up our sub-consultants' bills unless the client or somebody.
Well, do you do the billing for them and they just give you a percentage of it then?
No. I'm sorry?
I mean, you bill us, right?
Yes, we bill you.
And then you pay them.
Yes.
And you do that for free.
Well, I mean, it's part of our project.
But I mean, how do you get compensated for it?
Well, they do the work. All we do is send you the bill. They send us the bill, and it's part of our fee that we charge you.
Okay, thank you.
They work for free, too.
Well, they work for free.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, we're not working for free. We're working for the rest of the fee.
I think it's great.
We don't work for
Ramon, it's a
What it
joke.
means is that there's other parts of the project.
That they're managing and they're,
Right.
yeah.
I understand what he's saying.
No, we get that.
No, but-
I was
but
making
it-
fun of Ed because that's,
I thought you were, because in some case, I know in a few cases, we've worked with cities where they ask us to do something that we don't do at all. And then in that case, we just hire a sub outright, and in that case, we would mark it up because that's all we're doing is managing that sub. But that's very rare when we do.
Okay, thank you.
you answered the question. Any other questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon.
And we have one left, that'll be Tetra Tech.
Good evening. Thank you, guys.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Hi, Tim.
That's fine. I just want to why. I want people to be honest, okay?
Well, they are on. They put in a $10,000 subcontractor fee, and it goes towards 5% contract.
Let me tell you a little history of the people coming in. They designed the traffic circles that are all collapsed, everything else. They put in the long size concrete.
Myra, what
Yes.
grade is your daughter?
Next to your,
Excuse me?
What grade?
She's a junior,
Giordano.
so she'll be a senior next year, and it's very exciting.
Unfortunately.
What is she studying this year?
Well, she's in high school, so
What are they
she
doing?
loves math and science. That's her.
What are they doing junior year? Is it calculus?
Calculus, AP Calculus, AP Chem, AP Econ,
Yeah, Tetra Tech is.
Yeah.
AP Spanish, and AP
He's great for traffic.
English.
He doesn't do anything else. It's basic business.
She's going to have a tough 2 weeks. She's got all her tests.
Yeah.
I know the pressure on you. This guy here is the best.
When they're out, and then
This guy, we're the first ones to make a lousy presentation.
but we manage her stress.
But
You know, it's
I mean, they're the most
we feel
qualified,
for
in my opinion,
feel
in
for
the,
her.
in the construction business, engineering. No, so I mean, I would say they're number one. So, and the least qualified is EAC. And they should be at the bottom of the barrel. Tetra Tech probably comes next, then Giordano, then Stantec, and then these people. Oh, I wouldn't hire Stantec, I'm just telling you as far as qualifications. You know. No, I'm not going to hire them. No, so you eliminate Stantec, you eliminate Tetra Tech, and you basically have, and EAC is no good. So you really have.
Mr. Caban, please.
And they're really not qualified.
Cool. And then I will allow you to introduce your team.
Way of buying stuff.
All right?
Excuse me?
What?
I heard my name.
No, we're talking about basketball.
Definitely not.
Are we back in session?
Yes, we are.
Good evening, council, staff. I'm Kenneth Caban with Tetra Tech. I'm the Southeast Florida Regional Manager and a Vice President with the company. I'm also the project manager for our company for the city, along with Alicia Feria, Deputy Project Manager. With us here tonight is a portion of my team, basically the upper part of the org chart on page 2. We have Aaron Haig, and we also have Jerry Marstrom with
We didn't get a book.
Curtis Rogers. Oh, okay. We can pass those out.
Can't find page 2.
What's that? Well, on the second slide, but we'll get you a book.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is basically our team, and it'll be led by myself and Alicia, as has been the case for past projects with the village. We have team leads for the different disciplines of the RFQ and the contract, and then we're supported by other staff depending on the nature of the project. One thing to note, Tetra Tech is a completely full-service company. We pretty much do everything you could probably ever need. However, at times we do bring in a specialty, and in this case, we brought in Curtis Rogers. We do landscaping, but Curtis Rogers is a very well-known company locally, and their staff, including Jerry, have worked on numerous projects in Key Biscayne and beyond. So what sets Tetra Tech apart? I would say are 3 things. The first is we're a global firm. We're a very large firm. We're not a small local firm. We're a large firm. We are local, though. We have offices throughout the United States, and we utilize those offices depending on the need, and we also augment other offices. We have resources that come with a large company like ours. We don't want to say we have unlimited staff, but we
We utilize our staff as needed, and one of the benefits is that we do have a large staffing group, especially here in Florida. Tetra Tech is nationally recognized as a leader in the industry. We have numerous #1 rankings from ENR, the Engineering News Record. We hold those rankings for a very long time. I would venture to say we probably have the highest ENR rankings of any of the companies that presented before you today. And that's easily verifiable if you go onto ENR's website. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, is Tetra Tech and our staff have quite a bit of intimate knowledge of Key Biscayne and its infrastructure and its projects, and we've worked for you for quite a while. So I'll dive a little bit more into each of those three now. So Tetra Tech, we're pretty big, 16,000 people throughout the world, a lot of them in the United States and a lot of them in Florida. And we have an office in downtown Miami. So basically you get the best of both worlds. You get a large firm with a presence right here in downtown Miami. Our office is here in downtown Miami. It's been there for a while. And, so we're locally here, and we've been here a long time. I grew up in South Florida. I've been here my entire lifetime. Spent plenty of time on Key Biscayne, but never lived here yet. This slide here basically shows some of our ENR rankings, and I mentioned only the #1s. I think we have 7 #1 rankings, but we're highly ranked in numerous other categories. And again, this is ENR does this annually. Many of the rankings that we have, we hold year over year, and it's just basically a metric in the engineering industry, and we do very well with that. Institutional knowledge of Key Biscayne. We go back at least probably until 1999 personally. I designed much of the water and the wastewater and the reuse piping that is in use today, except for the reuse piping. But I worked for a previous firm, but nonetheless, I was part of the team that designed all of the water pipes, the gravity mains, the pump stations, and the force mains that are in use today here in the village. And as you see in that timeline, we have other projects from that time period, including traffic control, stormwater master plan, some emergency outfall improvements that we've been working on over the years, and others. So again, the point is, we have been working for you for a while. We understand the village. We understand what's here and your issues, and we work very closely with your staff to aid you. Another benchmark in our industry is how long you've worked for clients and whether or not you're repeatedly reselected. And this slide here basically shows just some of our contracts in Florida where we have repeatedly served a client and been reselected on multiple occasions. And what this goes to show is our performance, our quality, and our dedication to our clients. And that's certainly the case with the Village of Key Biscayne. So in addition to doing local work for the village, like I said, we've been in downtown Miami for several years. We've been in Miami for a very long time. And we are entrusted by other clients on some pretty significant projects. So as a large global firm, we do handle some very complex, large-scale projects in addition to serving some of the municipalities. So, and what we have here are 3 very recent projects. The first one in the top left is a recently completed project. It's the Port Miami dredging, where we were part of the team to implement that very complex project. We basically completed all of the environmental components of that, which, again, are part of the services you asked for. It included everything environmental you can think of: seagrass transplantation, coral reef transplantation. I think it is the largest dredging project and is the largest artificial reef project in the country. So again, Tetra Tech did that. A local project completed, and hopefully it has the intended effect of generating some more large container ship traffic for South Florida. The bottom left is not a picture locally, but it's basically we hold the emergency management contract with Miami-Dade County, and it's a large $180 million contract that should a disaster happen here in South Florida, the person they would call would probably be me, and overnight we would have an army of people here to help the county with that emergency. And we are in an emergency-prone area. And even though there aren't emergencies, we have regular calls and kind of staffing plans to ensure that should something happen, a typical emergency or an atypical emergency, that we're ready to assist the county and the municipalities within it. So that's a contract that we haven't used, but if it's needed, we'll be the ones to do it. The third one is another contract with Miami-Dade County. It's with their water and sewer department. Similar to what we did here, or I did here with the water and sewer infrastructure. We assist the county, Miami-Dade County, with the planning and implementation of all of their water, wastewater, and reuse facilities. And that is just one of the reports we've recently produced for that contract. And again, it's a significant project dealing with all of the county's water and sewer infrastructure. And assisting them in planning and prioritizing how to get it done. This next slide is basically the categories of the RFQ. Again, I'll reiterate, Tetra Tech is a full-service engineering firm. We can do pretty much anything necessary. These are the services that are called for in the RFQ. And of these services, we perform every phase of them, whether it's the planning, the design, or the construction administration of these types of projects. We're typically involved in every one of them. So now we'll get into some of the details of some of the projects that we had in our proposal and some of the specific projects. The civil engineering component, we've done some projects locally and beyond that implement or that highlight, I guess, our ability to do typical civil engineering projects, which entail beautification of roadways, utility work, and things like that. So we've done work here in Miami for private developers, for the county. We've done work in Miami Beach, same way. We've done kind of redevelopment of neighborhoods, things like that. Transportation, engineering, and planning, again, we've done this for the village. We've done a lot of your traffic control devices. We've done it in other parts of Florida. Something recently that we're doing is assisting clients on projects that we're not even involved with, where they're coming to us and asking us for assistance. MOT plans dealing with FDOT. They have a project that's going on, and it's being done by a contractor and a consultant, and they're having difficulties, and they actually turn to us and ask us for help in getting that done because we've done that similar work for them and basically performed. And so that's something very recent on the transportation and traffic engineering that we've seen happening. Environmental engineering, again, Tetra Tech does all of this. The slide that you have here in front of you basically is all of the different components of a typical environmental project. Those three graphics there, the one in the top left, is it's an artificial reef, but something that Tetra Tech does and has is basically electronic sonar equipment that does a survey of what we have done environmentally. In other words, if we've transplanted seagrass, we have equipment where it can basically go over the surface of the water and tell you how much seagrass you have there for environmental confirmation, things like that. The other picture with the diver is coral reef transplantation. We did a lot of that right here in Biscayne Bay as part of the Port Miami project. That was done. And then the picture on the bottom is the Fort Pierce Inland Marina. It's a breakwater that was planned, modeled, designed, and not constructed by Tetra Tech, but again, we're typically involved in the construction process, aiding the contractor and the client to ensure that it's built properly, things like that. So that project is an award-winning project, similar to Port Miami. So those are 3 projects. Here we have some of our landscape architectural projects that we bring to the table through Curtis Rogers and its staff. The picture on the to the right of the text is the Bayfront Park Boardwalk, and there what was done was basically a capital improvement project for Bayfront Park, identifying all of the different landscape components and developing a plan for implementation of that and how much it cost and the scheduling of the different improvements. The one below that is the Crandon's Streetscape project, which Jerry worked on. And then the one below that is Beach Park. So again, Tetra Tech, our staff, and our subconsultant Curtis Rogers has quite a bit of knowledge of Key Biscayne and have conducted projects here. So why select Tetra Tech? Summarize, we're a very large firm. However, we are local. We've had a local office. We have a lot of local experience. We understand the local environment. We know the permitting agencies. We know the regulators. We know pretty much how to get things done in South Florida. And if we can do the Port Miami project, I think we could do just about anything. But we're recognized as a leader. It's not Ken Caban telling you we're a leader. It's an independent party telling you that Tetra Tech is the best of the best. And we're here locally, so you can benefit from that. And again, decades of institutional knowledge of Key Biscayne. I personally have worked here. Actually, everyone with me today has worked here and done different projects for the village. So we're very comfortable, and we would like to continue working for you. We value working for you, and we hope you select us.
Going to open the question and answer period. Do we have any questions?
Okay.
You're good?
Have
Mr. Lund?
you done any cities, villages, towns, converting them from above-ground electric to underground electric?
I have personally done some, not an entire town, but as part of other infrastructure projects, we have undergrounded overhead FP&L lines and cable lines and things like that. I can't say specifically, yes, we have done an entire town, but being that we do, do projects like that, I'm pretty certain that we have done something like that. But locally, we have done that type of a project, maybe just not on the scale that you're saying. We've done it probably more than once. I personally have done it on other projects. They're not projects to underground the utility, the overhead electric. They're related to water and sewer projects, and as a result, they're undergrounded to take advantage of that process. So I have done it, but not on the scale that you're actually asking me.
Any other questions?
We had experience with you also on these traffic circles, which didn't work out very well. Why should we think that giving you other projects will work out better?
I think they're working well. I mean, because of you, the village has experienced significant growth, significant, development, redevelopment. They have taken quite a hit. I think they have done very well. Those traffic circles have experienced significant traffic related to 18-wheelers. I've seen it with myself, buses, you name it. So I think they have worked quite well. And, they do require maintenance. They do require rehabilitation. And, I think they've worked very well, and you should select us. I think we're honorable, we're local, we're good consultants. Our office is very close to you. I know most of your staff for a very long time, dating back to 1999 when I worked with Mariana and Anna and Jackie and several others, Armando. That may be a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but the point is that none of our clients, that slide, especially in South Florida because of us, they look to us to do our projects and pick up the slack on other projects when there's an issue. So, that's it's not me making it up. So, and I'm very proud of that. So,
Is it fair to say, following on Ed's question about the traffic calming devices, by the way, when were they installed? Do you recall?
When?
Yes.
Some were installed,
Say Harbor Drive's improvements, the circle.
I would say, I think around 99, 2000 and after. I think there's some on the south side that were installed later, but they weren't installed all at the same time.
So using Harbor Drive as an example, is it fair to say that none of us anticipated the type of heavy use, commercial use, construction use that actually occurred? And recognizing what has happened over these years, is there a different methodology that you would use if you had to do it all over again?
Well, engineering a lot of the times is subjected to standards. And we design to standards. And at the time, those were designed to standards. Those standards are oftentimes updated. There could be new standards that are, updated. I personally, and I didn't work on those projects, but I never would have expected that kind of use on those. I mean, we've designed traffic circles in other parts of South Florida that did not experience what you experienced here, and they've held up pretty well. And, I just think they took quite a bit of abuse. There's really, and they're meant for a certain speed. I'm not sure they're always taken at that certain speed with a truck with a trailer with a Bobcat or other equipment like that. I've seen it personally. I've been out here plenty of times doing work. But I've seen how they're traversed, and you kind of have to design them like that, but still they're not meant for certain speeds and certain impacts and things like that. So it's entirely dependent on how they're used and what they experience. And sometimes that can be anticipated, and other times it cannot be.
Were you at all?
I'm sorry, one last?
Yes.
We've wondered about this particular point about the radii associated with Metrobus, because Metrobus was foreseeable. It's the route. Is the typical radius on Harbor Drive correct, taking into account Metrobus?
Well, again, all of those, especially on Harbor Drive, were designed in coordination with Miami-Dade Transit. And they were very involved, and they had a lot of requirements, and they would not have been permitted had they not been to the requirements of Miami-Dade Transit. Now, that was quite some time ago. I'm not sure what type of bus goes on Harbor Drive, but nowadays they have longer buses. They have the accordion buses. I'm not sure if they use those on the village, but they're different. So, but at the time those were designed, Miami-Dade Transit was very involved in that design and was part of the permitting and approval process.
Were you responsible for any kind of monitoring, the silt screens, the cameras for the dredge, the port dredge?
The silt screens and the
cameras and the turbidity measuring, and were you at all?
Well, fortunately for me, I have Aaron here. Aaron?
Hi there.
That was one of the lead staff on that project, and I want to say yes, but I'm going to defer to someone that is much more capable to answer that question.
Please come to the podium.
Hi. I was a QC officer on that particular project, so I provided oversight for all the biological monitoring, I did not specifically oversee the turbidity efforts, but yes, a contractor, we had a subcontractor who collected turbidity measurements. When there was a violation, we had frequent daily turbidity measurements that were taken, and if there was an exceedance, all of the dredge operations would cease. We had direct communication with the dredge operators, advising them what was going on, and then they made different changes to their dredge operations to alleviate if there was a concern or if there was overspill with a spider barge or something going on. So they did accommodate any of those issues that did come up.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Will you guys be deliberating now, or is it something that you'll?
I'm going to turn this over to Steve.
Fair enough. We're turning it over to you. No?
The recommendation from the manager was that after the presentations, we would have a discussion amongst the council, and hopefully, if you're prepared to make a recommendation of a ranking, that you'll do that this evening.
Fair enough. Okay.
And so therefore, in answer to your question, you would like to know if you may come back in and listen to those deliberations?
Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, I'm just curious. No pressure.
At this point, anybody's welcome to come into the chambers.
We have people waiting outside, so.
I thought Theo was coming today.
He was supposed to get in
He said he was going to, his plane was arriving at 6:30. I was under the impression also that he would be at the meeting, but maybe his plane was late. I don't know.
He didn't Skype from MIA.
He didn't communicate with me.
I'm prejudiced against Skyping.
Shall we start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Kelly, would you like to start?
You know, I think there's strength in familiarity and there's strength in change. I think over the last couple of years, we've had some concerns about some of the familiarity, and I think it may be time for a change. If I had to pick three groups, it would be the first three. That's my summary.
The first one is Giordano.
Yes.
Second one is
Giordano. Third was EAC.
EAC. Yes.
I would say I think the most qualified by far is Giordano. I agree with you completely, Michael. I don't think Giordano's most qualified, but he's bringing in a lot of good consultants and acknowledges them as consultants and being a coordinator. So I would go along with him on that. When it comes to the third one, it becomes very difficult because we have Tetra Tech, even though he said there wasn't a problem with the engineering. After we had problems, he realized it was 3,000-pound concrete, and when he was going to rebuild it before, we didn't use them. Second time, he was going to go up to 4,000-pound concrete. He talked about the standard. The standard in Key Biscayne is a minimum for a doghouse, which is 5,000-pound concrete. So because of our experiences with Stantec and familiarity and Tetra Tech, I would probably not rank them. By the same token, I don't think EAC has a great, I mean, they might be great for underground, for utilities and everything else, but I don't think they have the qualifications. So based on that, I would put Tetra Tech at number 3, even though I'm very unhappy with the traffic circles and your question about the radiuses, about the permitting. I thought there were our streets. I didn't know we have to get permitted by anybody else. Anyway, so mine would be Giordano, Cordino, and then Tetra Tech, in that order.
Yes.
I have these stacked exactly the same way Mike does. I think that a professional group that we hire, I think it might be a lot to expect that they have the internal expertise in everything that we might be doing. Sorry about that. And I don't believe that I'm satisfied with the answers from Tetra Tech on the traffic circles. I think it was sort of, excuse me, but kind of a cop-out. I think that, you know, you don't design something like a traffic circle expecting that everybody will be driving Mini Coopers at the speed limit. I have never seen a bus go around a traffic circle without running over it. I don't think it's possible. Either that or Dade County has the worst drivers in the entire universe. I'm not sure. But I think that when you've had an experience that was less than satisfactory, maybe it is time to try someone that we haven't had that kind of an experience with. And I guess I have a question, because this is the way I'm ranking them: Giordano, EAC, and CGA. Do we have to have one firm that can do everything that we might need?
Absolutely not. That's the whole purpose of this, is that you have continuing contracts with firms with, if they happen to have all the expertise, that's wonderful. But very often they don't. And you might want to pick a firm because they're strong in the environmental area, another one because they're strong in the civil area. And these continuing contracts give you the right, once we negotiate the terms of those contracts, to select engineering services from any one of the firms. So even if you feel that one of them that you had a bad experience with happens to have a particular expertise, you might want to have them amongst the groups. But so the answer is, it's likely that they won't have all the same experience.
So the answer is, if we hire one that can't necessarily do underground utilities or any other project, we can go out and hire another consultant to oversee that project.
Absolutely.
Okay,
It doesn't preclude you. No, it doesn't preclude you from engaging other architects or engineers for a particular project or expertise. What these continuing contracts typically are used for are not necessarily your large-scale projects, like you're undergrounding the entire town or putting in an entire new water and sewer system. They're typically used for your ongoing day-to-day needs, whether it is to design some traffic circles, to assist in planning a particular park, to assist in the traffic improvements, all sorts of these services that they're talking about. Maybe it's permitting an environmental project. This gives you a source to go to without having to bid every single project out separately. This is your team of people that you can go to, and you're not obligated to go to all of them or any of them. Some of them may never get any work at all. I mean, they're hopeful they will, and they're here, and they'd love to be part of a selected group. But historically, we've found that there are certain people that we like and we tend to use often and are good. But we happen to have some other people who we haven't used that still are lingering on old lists.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I will definitely rank them the way I just said.
Fair enough. Mr. Dela Cruz.
Okay, so, I was most impressed with the Giordano firm, and Joe's firm, has done a lot of recent work with us, and then the study that they did for us and such. So I think that it's good to keep them around to help us with a lot of the other stuff that they actually were involved in looking into. After that, I'm not sure what I do, because frankly, I was so disappointed with the way the Stantec reacted with us with regards to the Village Green that, I supported Stantec so much in the past, and when those fields failed, all of a sudden it was our fault, and that wasn't acceptable, and it's very sad, but, it is what it is. So, I've got those first two firms, and the third one you all can can help me out on, because I don't know what to do.
Mr. Kaplan?
I'd like to try to do this, starting with a value statement and then an observation. I don't think I've worked with CGA. I've worked with everybody else. More than a little bit. I like working with all of them. I appreciate all of them. I really do. They're all first-class professionals that I've worked with, by and large. And there are times when performance isn't at the highest possible level and as uniform as we wish. And I suppose that means we're all, at least service providers, sometimes fallible. I'd like to say that I think that Tetra Tech has done a lot for us over the years that I think is valuable. I'm aware of the discussions that we've had concerning the traffic calming devices and criticisms associated with that particular scope of work, those projects. But I hasten to say that I think Tetra Tech has been a good contributor for a long time, and I appreciate Tetra Tech and I appreciate Stantec. I think we're about to engage in deeper conversations about the fields, and I share Luis's sentiment really, really wholeheartedly, and I feel rather disappointed about it as well. Both in terms of the outcome, but more in terms of the response to the outcome. It's that I'm most troubled about. And again, I put that in maybe the realm of fallibility, but it is an asterisk for me, a recent asterisk. I appreciated the EAC's presentation and remarks about peer review. I think that's highly intelligent and value added. I like the fact that they emphasized it, and I think it's important. I've really appreciated an element of Giordano's work lately that I would put into the context of thought leadership. I mentioned this earlier in my remarks, helping us understand how to really get to the root of a project and not just following orders, but inputting based on their experience in life and technical expertise in terms of what they think we need, and helping us both understand it and sell it is value added. And like I say, I don't recall working with CGA. Their presentation was excellent, as was everybody's. So that's sort of my speech, but I'll close with this. I think the reason we're having this discussion is because a sufficient number of us felt that we should reshuffle the deck on long-standing and, in my opinion, valued service providers. So we're here for a particular reason having this discussion. I don't think we can go wrong, and I'm prepared to put my 2 cents in on ranking when we're ready to do that.
Who'd you rank first?
We're ready to do that.
I
ranked my thoughts on the highest two, especially given the fact that I think we're here because we wanted to shuffle the deck, is Giordano and EAC. I would include all of these people in projects on a selected basis. For example, the experience that Stantec talked about in Golden Beach is directly pertinent to something that we're going to be talking about this year. So if that means that Stantec is best suited to give us advice on that particular project, we'd be foolish not to ask them.
But I thought we're ranking 3 people.
So Stantec would be your third one?
The manager is recommending a minimum of 3 firms because we're trying to, as best we can, track the statutory requirement. But when you're doing a continuing contract like this, if there are 4 or 5 firms that you would like to have us negotiate contracts with, we can do that and bring them back. You're not necessarily limited to only. We would recommend that you go with 3 because that's the standard within the industry in awarding these kinds of contracts. They tell you to go rank 3 and then try to make a contract with the first one, then the second one, but that's not really what we're doing here. You're going to instruct the manager to go and negotiate agreements with each of the firms that you would like to do business with. He's going to bring back those contracts. If he's not able to reach an agreement with them, they don't want to work for us, they don't want to do the work at rates that we like, then they'll fall out.
So my third is Tetra Tech.
And your
Who was
third,
your first?
Coradino EAC, Tetra Tech.
Coradino EAC and Tetra
Coradino
Tech.
EAC, Tetra Tech.
thank you. And you all are here tonight because you are all incredibly qualified. You made the top 5, and I thank you for your interest in continuing to work with the village. Having said that, my ranking is Calvin Giordano, Coradino, and EAC.
Okay, that's it. We're done.
I think we're done. Thank you all very much for your
Okay.
participation.
I want to make sure that we're, are
you have a
are
consensus?
you making a decision that you want to limit it to 3?
Yeah.
Okay? And then I just want to make sure that there's a consensus on the 3 that you'd like the manager to go forward and
Do
negotiate.
we have
with.
anyone?
I think I was in the
Okay.
minority.
Madam Clerk,
Right.
did you tally?
Well, if there's not a
the
consensus,
votes?
there are a majority of you
Right.
that have ranked 3 particular
Calvin
firms.
Giordano, I
Right.
believe.
Okay.
I have Mayor Lindsay, Councilmember Kelly, and Councilmember Cross. They put Giordano first, Coradino second, EAC the third. Then I have Councilmember London, who rated Giordano first, Coradino, but his third one was Tetra Tech. Councilmember De La Cruz just went with 2, Giordano and Coradino. Councilmember Kaplan went with 3, Coradino, EAC, and Tetra Tech.
So Ed and I were the same.
Imagine that.
So,
Happens
No.
sometimes.
You weren't,
You rated, who'd you rate first, Coradino or?
Yes.
I rated
Giordano.
he rated Giordano, Coradino.
Giordano, then
EAC.
Cortec. So it's
He
it's three,
didn't
right?
recommend EAC.
What?
You didn't recommend
No.
EAC. But I think
No, London recommended Tetra Tech.
Yes.
Third.
just the synthesis of what you said boiled down to the first 3.
shouldn't we ask the manager how he feels about these firms? Or, I mean, isn't he the one that's going to be working with them?
I think the reason we're doing this process is because we're doing it together, and he wanted our input.
I know, but
Otherwise, he
I
would have
don't know how
decided
he
on his
feels
own.
about it. You know, I'd like to know.
Mr. Manager, would you like to elaborate?
Sure. I mean, that wasn't what was part of the RFQ, and what we're doing is following the RFQ, which was stating 7 down to 5 and down to 3. But I've had some dealings with most of these. If it were up to me, and you're asking for me, it would be Coradino, EAC, and Tetra Tech.
Okay.
So like Councilmember Kaplan.
Well, that's
what Councilmember Kaplan said.
I saw him passing notes.
I was going to say, how did we get caught? I never left the chair.
And Councilmember De La Cruz, I need one from you,
Okay.
the third one.
Yeah.
Do you have a tiebreaker?
You
The
know,
only-
EAC is presently doing work with us.
Right.
You know, I think it's
Underground
important to keep them here. You know,
Stormwater
at this point.
improvements,
So
stormwater
EAC, the third one? So your third one would be EAC?
Right. I mean, do we have any complaints about the work that they're doing? Is it?
No, and I'm sure we'd be here if we did.
So then we have 4 votes for, in this order, for Giordano, Coradino, and EAC.
Okay, well, that's it then.
And they are Mayor Lindsay, Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Gross, and Councilmember De La Cruz.
And actually, I would have made EAC my first. I just said 3 because I didn't know they had to be
Right.
ranked.
I'm not sure, under this context, it makes much difference.
Right.
The manager's going to attempt to negotiate agreement with each of those firms, bring it back to you. If he's not able to and one of them falls out, you can go back and give him an alternative selection, if you like.
So-
With all the confidence in the manager, he will.
I think he will.
So do we need to take a vote, or just
No,
consensus?
No,
Consensus?
that's it. I think
Three.
that, yes.
Giordano,
that's-
Coradino, and EAC.
Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item on the mayor is approval, deferrals, additions, deletions, substitutions, withdrawals. Gary?
Do I have a motion?
Good to see you, my friend.
Mr. Gross, Councilmember Gross.
Great.
Look who's here.
Councilmember Gross would
Of
like
course.
to withdraw his item 9A2.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Welcome.
So you're withdrawing?
9A2.
And Councilmember Holloway, do you want to go forward with your issue on the?
Absolutely.
You came in at the right time.
Right.
Okay, so you will be first.
Right.
I have my appointment, mosquito control. I also wanted to talk about mandatory ethics training, the 4-hour training that we're all responsible for doing. Except for
So that would be 9A6.
A6, and then number 7, procedure for follow-up on agenda items, procedure for follow-up after council meetings of action items brought up by council members. And number 8, and these are going to be fast. Number 8 is the PSAT and the EAB of Key Biscayne Community School.
PSAT and?
The PSAT.
And the other one?
And the EAB boards of the Key Biscayne Community School have requested a proclamation on behalf of the council to thank the school board for the tremendous improvements they made to the school. And they will be before us when there is public comments. In the meantime, they are very grateful for what we've done and for what the school board did and the incredible improvements that were done at the school. They want something formal. So just consensus to do that. These are fast.
Raging support of that, I think
Yeah,
is just great.
it's amazing. It's nice to hear so much positive feedback.
Anybody else?
Could you read the order of the additions, please?
Councilmember Gross withdrew his item 9A2, and then Mayor Lindsay added the following items: mandatory ethics course for council members, procedure for follow-up on action items made by council, and PSAT and EAB boards, Key Biscayne schools, requesting a proclamation. All those in favor of the change?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item of the mayor is the approval of the minutes of the April 12, 2016, and minutes of the regular council meeting.
Moved.
Second.
Any changes, any comments? Please call the question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item of the mayor is the first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Key Biscayne, Florida, authorizing the issuance of not exceeding $3,500,000 of sewer improvement revenue bonds of the Village of Key Biscayne, Florida, providing for a supplemental resolution setting forth the details of said bonds, authorizing the village manager to negotiate with financial institutions for purchase of the bonds and to enter into a rate lock agreement and providing an effective date.
Moved. Second.
I'd like to open this for public comments on first reading of this ordinance.
Councilmember Kelly and Holloway. Thank you.
There is no one signed up for public comments or here in the audience. I will close public comments.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, please, Mr.
It
Manager.
is recommended that the council authorize the issuance of this loan in the amount not to exceed $3,500,000 for the purpose of refinancing the outstanding Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan. There is an opportunity to take advantage of the current prevailing low interest rates and also achieve debt service savings. This opportunity has been presented to us by our financial advisor, Ms. Laura Sabadine, from Estrada Hinosa & Company, and reviewed by my finance director. The bonds may be prepaid at any time. This ordinance authorizes the issuance of the bonds and the village manager to negotiate with the banks or other financial institutions to purchase the bonds and to enter into a rate lock agreement. From time to time, I have presented, and I know in the past managers have presented opportunities to save money by refinancing, and that's what this is. We do have with us this evening Ms. Laura Sabadine from Estrada, who's going to give us an idea about the current state of our interest rates.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Ms. Abedin, if you could please come to the podium. Thank you both for identifying this cost savings. If you could please explain what it entails.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. As part of our financial advisor services, we continuously peruse your outstanding debt, and we have come up with this bond issue It's currently a loan with a state revolving fund. It's a state revolving fund loan with DEP. My first attempt was to try to renegotiate the interest rate with them so as to not to have to do a whole refinancing, but they said that was not possible and they did not entertain that, but that there are no prepayment penalties or anything that would go against us wanting to go and refinance on our own. So I got bank indications where the village could possibly generate anywhere between $200,000 to $165,000. These are indications. Usually the rates come in a little bit more aggressive once a formal RFP is submitted. Again, you're just merely authorizing for us to go and put out an RFP and get back results, at which time, on second reading, we would present to you what we have determined would be the best bid, and then bring it forth to you for approval.
Ms. Abedin, would this also be a good opportunity to bundle the $2 million that we wanted to borrow for the property that we bought on Heather?
This particular bond issue has a different sort of credit as a backup. It actually uses, let me see if I remember.
Revenue bond?
It doesn't have a covenant to budget and appropriate. It actually has a specific.
It's a communication service.
Thank you. Yes, and so we could do that, but then we would want to change the credit to a covenant to budget and appropriate.
Would it affect the interest rate?
No, I think they're pretty the same. One of them has a first right to the communications tax, so that might make it a little bit stronger. But considering the village's credit rating for AAA for their GO, I think that they're both very strong credits.
I don't know if this is the time to do that, but it was just something that we had earmarked that we wanted to, or put a place marker that we wanted to do.
Why
But
not? Why not? I mean, it's almost free money.
It's appropriate if we really have a chance to save on interest rates, and we're going to go borrow the money anyway.
Right.
And typically, most lenders are willing to give you a better package if you give them a larger as opposed to a smaller loan. I think it would be very wise to try to package this as one borrowing. And I just want to clarify one thing. I think this is called a bond issue. I know it has to be, but this is basically more or less a bank loan with no real issuing costs that you would associate with a bond issue. Is that correct?
Well, there are costs of issuance, but they are definitely a lot less than an open market security sale. This would be considered a private placement.
Right. Okay. So it's traditional loan costs and things like that.
Well, not traditional. Bond counsel?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
And these are less expensive than secured transactions.
We still have.
In my experience.
We still have bond counsel. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, bond counsel fees usually are high proportion to what they provide.
I think the closing costs are somewhere around $40,000. Is
Correct.
that what you expect?
Correct, versus the biggest cost of a public offering is the drafting of a public offering statement, which is not necessary in these kinds of private places.
How long would you anticipate the interest rate savings? How long would they have to have those bonds before we would recover the issuance cost?
Probably about 4 or 5 years. I think there's a 13-year total term left on the existing. So you're talking probably about 4 years.
Well, then you'd recover to recover $40,000.
About 4 or 5 years, I think it's what it works out to be now.
You'd have to keep it for 4 or 5 years.
4 years you would recover the
$40,000.
Correct.
But we're bundling it with the $2 million. To me, it was more of an incentive if we borrowed the $2 million that we wanted to replenish, and all of a sudden
No,
it
I'm
makes
just talking
it.
first about the.
Yeah, no, I.
This is an estimate, because I don't have actual bids in.
I know, I'm
Okay.
just approximate.
In the end, we're going to match the potential savings over what we have now with the cost of doing this transaction, and we'll see exactly how long it'll take to break even and then pull ahead, and we'll know whether it makes sense or not.
Now, revenue and GOs are same rate these days?
Not necessarily.
For the Village of Key Biscayne's credit
I would
versus our revenue capacity.
I would say that the fact that the bank would have a first right to the communications tax may make it a little bit stronger because your covenant to budget and appropriate is divided by several loans that you have outstanding. The majority of the village's loans are covenant to budget and appropriate. But considering that your GO rating is, I think AA plus by one agency and AAA by another, I think that it's very, very close.
And I'm not really familiar with government or issuing any type of mortgage-type bonds, but basically the piece of property we bought, I guess, would be more like a mortgage-type bond. Is that even done in municipal things?
They do it.
No. You can't.
I'm just
mortgage-
asking, you can't?
No, you
Okay.
can't mortgage the public property.
Thank you. was my
The
question.
current bond issue that we're looking to refinance, the final maturity is in February of 2030. If you did decide
I'll be 90.
to add on the additional $2 million, change the credit to covenant to budget and appropriate, would you want to keep that same maturity? Because right now, I'm just matching the final maturity to what you have.
How far can you push it out?
Probably, to get the best rate, probably no more than 15 years. So you're talking maybe 2 more years, 1 or 2.
The difference between 15, I mean, again, until you get quotes, you won't know. But the difference between 15 and 30 years, what are we talking about?
Oh, banks will not give you private placement.
20 years?
Days. It's tough. They usually want to reset the rates after year 5 and things like that, which we usually have to negotiate our way out of.
So when you're talking about these rates, you're talking about they're going to be a 30-year term and 5-year reset?
15-year terms and.
15-year, then 5-year resets?
No,
Or
no
15-year
reset.
term and 15-year?
15-year.
Rate, okay.
I'd be fine with 15-year fixed. I would be fine because the rates are so low.
I mean, if we're borrowing money that we don't need, we might as well take it as long as we can.
Well, that's why I asked. What
And
you know,
fixed.
difference?
Right, but I think once you start going beyond 15, you start losing the competition, because a lot of the banks would not be interested, and competition is what drives your price down.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So you have our instruction? But we have to read it. Yes.
On the ordinance.
As amended?
On first reading, Councilmember Gross,
Yes.
Councilmember Holloway,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Lindsay.
Yes.
Vice Mayor London.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaplan.
Yes.
Councilmember De La Cruz.
Yes.
And so I understand that that's with instructions to come back on
Correct.
second reading, increasing the maximum borrowing up to 5.5 million. Okay, the purpose of which would be to
Yep.
try to recover some of the funds we use for 401 Hampton.
I
Okay,
had scheduled this for second reading on May 10th. Is that okay?
I'll be
Give you a schedule.
calling
You
in,
have
but
it?
that's,
Right, or do you want me to do it on the
4th?
24th?
yeah, I think that would be a little bit safer.
The
Yeah, we had
24th?
it on the, we had asked for it on the 24th,
Okay, I
Right.
wasn't aware of that. Okay,
Yeah.
second reading on the 24th. Thank you.
and then closing sometime in June after, if you approve the refinance.
Okay. The next item, Madam Mayor, is the second reading of an ordinance of the Village of Key Biscayne, Florida, amending Section 31-1, Parks and Recreational Open Space Lands Trust Fund of the Village Code of Ordinances, obligating the Village Council to annually allocate at least 1% of ad valorem tax revenues to the Parks and Recreational Open Space Lands Trust Fund, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date.
moved.
Second.
I'd like to open this ordinance for public hearing. Public
I don't
comment.
have any speakers signed up, Madam Mayor.
Closing public comments. I have Mr. De La Cruz and then Mr. Kaplan.
The effect of what we added here last time around, which was greater than 1% may be allocated upon an affirmative vote of 5 members of the village council. That's limiting our ability to increase the amount
It says at least 1%. To me, that, I read it differently, but if we need clarification, let's fix it. I think at least 1%.
Well, I'm just thinking, why make it 5? Isn't it a majority usually?
That's what I understand what you're saying, that why tie our hands to 5
Exactly.
people vote if we want to do more
Exactly.
than 1%.
That's correct. That's exactly what I mean.
So let's just put a straight majority.
Yes, just a straight
Majority.
Right.
I'm good with that.
That was half of my comment.
And now the second half. Thank
yeah,
you, Mr. Dela Cruz.
The other half spins off of the same discussion that we had in the civility resolution about financial emergencies, and the consensus was to be a little bit more flexible and speak in terms of, special needs that are articulated and supported by 5 members. And I broached the question of whether we want to do the same thing here. Not limit the proviso to a financial emergency, but also articulated special need of some sort that 5 members find compelling. Same discussion we had in the other context.
I mean, it is, I guess, lawyers deal in definition. I mean, wouldn't any emergency be a financial emergency? I mean, you're basically saying we want to change money that was allocated for one thing for something else.
Here's the way I look at it, and I'm not advocating for this. This is, I simply noted it when I was reading this.
Uh-huh.
The proposition that we discussed on the resolution, which I found, thoughtful, is that something may not be an emergency, but still be compelling enough to shift from an avowed policy. So, for example, in this context, a financial emergency may not arise, but a competing priority may arise. And if that competing priority that was heretofore unidentified or unimportant causes the decision not to dedicate this 1% in a given year, but it's not an emergency, the theory is we won't have that discretion because we only provide for an emergency.
Yeah, I guess the goal, and where I fall on this equation, is the goal is to really strongly encourage subsequent councils to donate money for additional land.
And I feel
and I worry that if we offer too much flexibility, then you remove that restriction. So for me personally, I err more on the side of enforcing that restriction than making it more flexible.
I broached it. I don't feel strongly about it.
I agree with Dr. Kelly, but I respect your
I have
your
a
point.
feeling.
I understand why you're raising it. I think it's valid. I just don't think, I think I want to be more disciplined about putting the money in the.
I have a feeling that were there a competing priority, the council 10 years from now will characterize it as a financial emergency.
Or they'll amend the
ordinance.
Yeah.
Right. I'll go on the record now so that 15 or 20 years from now, when someone asks Conchita this question,
Hopefully I'll be around, but not here. Not
Okay.
sitting.
It'd be hard for me to find a higher priority than land
Exactly.
acquisition.
Yes.
That's.
But I'll remember your trees.
Okay. So
If
I
they're
broached it,
mangroves,
that's
make
all.
great land.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Please call the question.
I didn't quite get the
I have
amendment.
it. The amendment is that a greater amount may be allocated upon an affirmative vote of a majority of the members of the village council.
Oh, instead of 5?
Instead of 5.
Okay. Thank you. So on the ordinance as amended, Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Lindsay,
Yes.
Vice Mayor London,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaplan,
Yes.
Councilmember De La Cruz on the ordinance as amended. Thank you. Councilmember Gross,
Yes.
Councilmember Holloway.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted on second reading.
Congratulations, Dr. Kelly, yet another great legacy you're leaving.
No, but I want to say thank the council for the support on this issue. I think it's a great achievement.
Next item on the mayor's reports and recommendations. Mayor and council members, motion to select conceptual plan for 530 Crandon Boulevard.
Mayor, if I may, during the April 12, 2016 meeting, the village council was presented with the conceptual drawings for 530 Crandon. At that time, the council directed staff to send the various options to the village council for review in order for them to select the conceptual plan at the next meeting. I believe the next day we did send you the plans, and I believe that tonight is the time to move forward on a conceptual idea.
Mr. London, then Dr. Kelly, and then Mr. Dela Cruz.
Hearing some of the speeches tonight concerning engineering, and especially dealing with the problems we've been having with the park, and we have the same engineer doing this park, she'd say the park, the turf, and supposedly we got into some type of, couldn't resolve our issues with Stantec, and then we're still dealing with Stantec doing something else. Could that present a problem? Stantec's the designer of this park. This is what people were using for it. And then Stantec, if we have a
But
turf
they don't
problem.
have to build it.
I don't think we haven't bid this design yet, right? They just helped in the conceptualizing of it, right?
Right.
I guess that's my question. What is our obligation to them? What's their responsibility? What they presented to us, that's it, we're done with them?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to know. I wasn't sure.
Otherwise, we would be having that discussion.
Sorry?
Otherwise, we would be having that discussion.
Okay, well, that's why I'm bringing it up. I didn't know.
Are all of these concepts?
Dr. Kelly, Mr. Dela Cruz, and then, okay. Yes, Dr. Kelly.
I went back through these plans because I had to refresh my memory, and they all are very similar in most ways. And my preference was option F, which allows one lane of McIntyre to remain open, but the lane closest to the park to be converted and integrated into a additional grass and sidewalk, not allowing golf carts to go down through there, but pedestrians could. And then I think the other task we were asked was to weigh in on an underground parking garage or not, and I'm not in favor of an underground parking garage. So that's F. My one column A is F, and column B is no parking garage.
Fair enough. Yes, Mr.
I don't want
London.
to weigh in on the underground parking garage. I think whatever we do should get prices on it, so we know what it would cost to save it, and then we can decide whether we want it or not, because it doesn't hurt to get a price on the underground parking garage. You don't need
I believe
any
the estimate
great
was
drawings on it.
$95,000 per spot.
No, that's strictly a ballpark estimate, okay?
No.
That's not a real number. Then the other thing is that since we've had such great success with Stantec, and we're now employing, hopefully, another engineering firm, maybe it's a good idea for us, whoever we hire, to review these things and bring their comments in before we make a decision. So my thing would not to make a decision until John comes back with recommendations from these various firms, have them review it, and then maybe they'll say, no, we have a much better idea.
Mr. Dela Cruz?
I think that's a very good idea. I also like the design that Mike pointed out, but there's a couple of questions here that I have. For instance, I see a lot of grass, and in one particular area under trees.
I'm with you.
We don't have a very good track record in growing grass. You know what I mean? So
Look at option E. Option E.
Option E is probably what suits us best. Okay, but again, I think we got to find out what the expert that's going to design it comes back with. I don't think I think what we're telling them is something more like we're only taking out one street and leaving the other street. Those kind of conceptual ideas. But right. Am I wrong on that?
I think the mayor had an answer.
Yes, and I think that has been vetted and that we've been through this process. I'm of the opinion that we should go with E for exactly the same, what you raised, which is the grass does not grow well under trees. And while I like F, I just thought we were setting ourselves up for failure. I like the concept. I looked at it, and then I said, practically, that just wasn't going to be a long-term plan. And in terms of the parking structure, we were tasked with whether we even wanted to consider and go, yes, we did get a ballpark of $95,000 per spot. I have to tell you that we also are looking at doing an RFP for a parking garage behind our municipal building. I think that's just far more economically feasible. And I think the thought of, with sea level rise, going underground at this point may just not be the best. I just don't think it's even worth the investment in the analysis.
Well,
based on the presentations, and this has been vetted, and this went to RFP. We had all sorts of options, and it was incredibly thorough. Or the design.
As far as the cost goes, we have no idea what the cost is until we bid it out, until we get some contract.
For the design.
We'll say we can bid this for approximate number of dollars. I mean, somebody came here and said it's going to cost you $80,000, $90,000 a spot.
Yeah, I think we're making the same mistake.
No, for the design, not for the.
You don't have to go for the, okay, never mind.
I'm wondering if we're making the same mistake again, with regards to the design process. Are we going to do a design-build type thing? Where we tell them how much money we're willing to spend on a particular thing and then come back and do an RFP in that sense? Or are we going to tell them, design something for us and get the details from there?
No, this is the design, and we say,
Okay, so Stantec is designing our park? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
They've done it.
They've done it. We paid them for the services of design.
Right.
They haven't designed the park.
So these are conceptual drawings. These are not.
And so now we
These are not formal drawings.
Those are not formal drawings.
And I think you probably, if we decided we didn't want to use Stantec, could have another form turn these
Based on
conceptual
this.
drawings into a formal drawing. And it would also give us
another opinion,
the opportunity to get another opinion about, grass versus
Right,
pavers.
exactly.
And but if we could agree on a concept, then
Okay, I think that what we should focus on is the closing down of the streets situation, that we were going to find out that we were going to close down one of the streets in order to see how it went. The proof was in the pudding.
Well, we
right?
weren't doing it now because we had the construction, but it was talked about doing a trial basis to see just
Right.
the impact it would have.
And I suggest we do that to see how it's going to work. I'm hoping it does work because I would love to have more park, but
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen too, and I think we should have a real-life experiment. I think it will work. There's not a lot of traffic on McIntyre, and expanding the park into the road makes good sense to me if traffic isn't adversely affected, and I don't think it will be, but we do need to know that.
Well, and I think what we identified, that the traffic in terms of leaving the school, that there is a steady flow, that there is traffic, but in one direction it's heavier than another direction.
I'm going to just.
Yes.
I still think that all of these issues could be drawn into our formal drawings.
Yes.
And whether that, both sides of the street stay open, or whether there's pavers there, or whether there's grass there, I think those are minor things. My biggest hope is that we can tell the manager to go forward and get formal drawings with each of those potential segments. And in the meantime, while those drawings are being prepared, we could do a study and see how the street functions with only 2 lanes. And by the time they come back with our formal drawings, we'll be able to make that decision. I just don't want to slow down our momentum because we've taken 6-month, 8-month break from when these were prepared, and I want to see us keep moving forward.
I think that's right and doable, because what we're talking about in this conversation are really little tweaks.
Right.
For example, another little tweak is whether to open up the Sarah Morris pools to the north by not having the existing hedge or treescape separating the park to the north from Sarah Morris.
I mean, as much as I want to see more park space, I just think that incorporating Sarah Morris into this park would add so much more to the community as a whole, because I would bet to this day a majority of Key Biscayne residents have not visited those fountains, and many of them don't even know that they're there or the significance of them, because they're hidden on an island in plain sight, you know, which is a shame, because it's a monumental work that everyone ought to know about and be proud of.
Absolutely. Mr. Gross.
I tend to agree with what Ed just said. If we're going to hire these consultants to oversee our projects, I would like to make this their first project. I personally have a lot of trouble looking at a tiny little drawing on a piece of paper and conceptualizing what it's going to look like. But looking at some of these drawings, I see a huge amount of trees and seating areas that are eating up a significant portion of this park. And I kind of would like to know what we think we'd rather have the use of this park be. Is it to be more open so kids can run around and play? Is it supposed to be Fairchild Gardens? These conceptual drawings, to me, completely leave out what do we want this park to be? What's the primary use of it going to be? So now I'm less concerned with slowing down momentum for some short amount of time and much more concerned with getting it right.
There was
a motion back when Dr. Mandia was on the council that it was resolved, if I'm not mistaken, that this would be a passive park.
That's correct, sir.
And so the idea that there would be playing fields or any formal type of activity there was expressly hoped that it would not be, because it was supposed to become a place for more reflection as opposed to the athletic fields that the Village Green has become.
Yeah, I wasn't contemplating an athletic field, but, you know, there's a big difference between having half of the property taken up by trees and seating and things like that, and having it much more open for walking paths or for people to take their kids to run around, not necessarily to play on a playing field. So I'm a little bit lost as far as what we would rather be the main function of
The priority functions that were identified were to have some kind of civic event area that is passive, like concerts, and that's why there's an amphitheater, and seating on the lawn, kind of concerts on the lawn. In addition to that, exactly that, an open space where people could play frisbee, run around, do cartwheels, and people could sit and contemplate and be shaded, but also to frame our civic area with a beautiful park. So those were, that may give you clarification, it may not be enough, but those were the priorities, those were the instructions that were given.
Okay, thank you.
But we all seem to be favoring, for example, the earlier drawings had, I would say, a more extensive amphitheater type of an arrangement with berm seating and different features built in. Where we seem to have been focused on E and F is the amphitheater, but it's a tensile shade, and that's it. So it's a smaller scale proposition.
And not to belabor this, but we went through this process before the recession, and we came up with a price tag that was like $1.5 million, and there was a big water feature. It was a completely different park than this. And then because our financial situation got very acute, Jim was new on the council, myself and Theo, I believe, no. Who was?
Me.
You. Mm-hmm. And we decided that it was better not to embark on that. And so then we went through this whole process again.
Yeah.
So like many of our projects, it's like the dog park. It's had many iterations along the way, and that's, it's possible for people to keep coming in and saying, oh, let's redesign it another time. But unfortunately, that's how you never get to an end result.
And so that's why, Mr. Helpman, if you can remind us of where we've been and where we need to go, because I thought we were substantially more far along than I think I'm getting feedback from council. So please give us your guidance.
Yeah. If you're going to go with if your inclination is to go with a design build, then you need to stop designing.
That's
okay?
why I'm ready to go.
You already had one several years ago. Now you went through an entire RFP process, had all these people come in here, park designers, and you picked Stantec, and now they've given you a drawing. And if you're going to start with the design build, you're going to get a whole new designer to start all over again, because that's what design build does. You're going to go through a whole RFP process. You're going to bring in all these fancy landscape architects and contractors who are going to want to be your design builder. If you're going to design it yourself and hire architects to do it, and now start again with one of the new firms we picked tonight, then just build it yourself and skip the design build process. So I think there has to be a decision here. If you're going to follow the traditional path that we've followed in the past, which is to hire the architects, find the best one that we're most comfortable with, have them design this, put it to a committee or not to a committee, however you want to do it, and ultimately come up with a design, you don't need a design build. Just put that out to build and build it. If your idea is to try to go design build with projects, then do that. And your team will come here and work with you on that design. They will come 60, 90, 30, 60, 90 stages. They'll show you where they are. You'll tell them your budget in advance, and you'll work with the design builder in creating your park. So I don't know which way you want to go, because it sounds like you want to keep designing tonight.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Mayor, with all due respect, this 20 after 10, the manager's report.
Yes, Mr. London.
I guess I ask you and Mike, do you like this design better than the original design that you didn't use?
Absolutely.
You like this better?
This is more open in concept.
And by the way, when
This
you
is more
put
open
out
in
your
concept.
design build RFP, you can say, attaches a conceptual drawing of what we anticipate this park would look like. But those designers will come in and work with you on fine tuning it. And you may say in that proposal, we would like to incorporate a closure of the road.
What approach is going to get this done fast?
Well, that's faster. As far as you've gone, it may be that the fastest way, I don't know it's the way you want to go, is to actually finish up with a design, get the landscape architecture and engineering firms and everything to do the plans and put it out to bid. That could be the fastest at this point.
When you're saying finish up with the design, this is the design that was prepared by Stantec.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Stantec for another project?
You don't have to.
Has something to do
They're
with-
done.
Okay.
We could go to 3 architect firms.
Okay.
And say, here's our concept. We're all in agreement on this concept. Who's the best price to turn it into
So what we need to
formal
decide
drawing?
is whether it's going to be a design build or a traditional.
One of
That's
the
basically-
firms that you selected tonight could go ahead they have the skills certainly to execute the drawings and the working drawings off of this plan, come here to you with that in a progression over time. Here's where we are, here's phase 1, and then go out to bid for it. You could do that. But I heard somebody say, oh, we're going to do design build, aren't we?
No.
And so if we are, then stop this nonsense and let's jump in the design build process.
My impression is that design build has a lot of advantages, but because we've already put so much work into this,
You've done a large part of what they would be doing.
I'm all for design.
For clarification.
Not the time for this.
Right.
The significant decision that has been made is to design something that closes off one of the 2 roadways and have one-way traffic for whatever. If that's a significant.
I don't think we haven't made that decision.
We haven't made that decision.
But what we would want is formal drawings that potentially gave us
Incorporate
that,
or don't incorporate,
that
option
option.
A and option B.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know that this is not your choice, but we did have a phase to the Stantec agreement with them that if we moved on from there,
That's what I was
they
asking.
would do they could do the design drawings.
Are we
But
obligated?
I know, well, no, you're not obligated to do that. That was an option that we had, okay? Based upon what you've done tonight, I think that the most expeditious way is to bring on the additional firms that you have engaged, select from those firms the firm that you think is best qualified to finish off this planning exercise and design exercise, and have them prepare the drawings and go out to bid. Because otherwise, we're going to begin a whole new design build process where we go out with RFP, we start with all new architects again and contractors coming here presenting ideas, and I think it could slow you down.
I agree with you.
And it's been done before. I mean, with the prior council, I think they spent over a year doing this. And we took the ideas and the different phases and simplified it and really tweaked it. So this is, again, it has been a long process. It's not like we're looking at this.
We're 7.5 years into this process.
This is not like we just saw these conceptual plans and there's been extensive discussion and you know.
Hey, let's go on.
So are we
Let's
choosing
get
an option?
Okay.
No, let's do it that way.
Well, for the
I think that what you're
instructions.
deciding is that this will be the basis from which you want to do final drawings and you will, once you've selected your
For which
your
of the
team.
concept plans? Do we want to identify the concept
We can
plan?
do that, but I think whoever we select, these first couple people, they're using the same landscape people. I think it's Rosenberg, Gardner, or something or other, if I'm not mistaken. So whoever you select, you're going to use the same people.
Well, it
So maybe
depends.
they
No,
get-
I don't think Calvin Giordano
I think there were two
was
together
using them.
in the top two.
I may be wrong.
Now, do we have, let's see, Mr. Dela Cruz, did you
Councilmember-
have a concept, an option that you preferred?
No, I'm okay with that, with either E
Or
or F, and again,
Councilmember Kaplan?
I'd like to see them come back,
Yep.
with a more detailed,
If, I like F.
They were doing it
I like
in-house.
I like F marginally better than anything else.
I do too, can we
If,
throw it?
because it's reduced the number of pavers, if the surface that replaces the pavers is viable. I like F better, if the surface that replaces the pavers
I agree
is viable.
100%.
And I agree.
And I would like to just leave open the possibility of having the trees not debar Sarah Morris as a tweak, and the question about closing the road is an open question.
And I have to say, we probably have to consult with our Art and Public Places Committee
Yes.
because the trees were designed in a certain way and the benches and what have you, and we cannot
Yes.
change the integrity of the installation.
Yes.
Mr. Holloway, do you have a preference as to the option?
I mean, I agree that the oaks, the way that they are now, and I think if we can preserve them, there's value in that. But at the same time, I appreciate the notion of attempting to maximize
Councilmember
space.
Holloway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I appreciate the attempt to maximize the space by testing closing one road. So,
So
which option?
E.
E?
Yeah.
And
Which
you
is
change, Madam Mayor, from E to F?
Well,
I don't think we have to limit ourselves.
I don't think we
you know,
need to make
E and
that
F
decision.
are incredibly similar.
Right.
Ideally, I liked F more because it looked more pleasant to the eye. My concern was that we've learned that grass does not grow under trees, and so we need to.
And it might be that you could you could make the sidewalk go under the trees and the grass move to the other side. And so that may be something. But I think,
But the direction from council at the last meeting, with all due respect, was that tonight you were going to choose.
and we're just.
E and F are so similar that it's really, a design with a tweak.
I don't think it's that important that you identify specifically which one, because once you engage one of the firms that hopefully will be selected and we have contracts with, you're going to then engage with them and
Right.
talk to them about what you like and what you don't like, and they're going to move forward with the design. So you deciding now that between this and this, they may have an entirely different idea. I think you need to, based upon where we are, it's good to understand the direction that you're all going in, that there are particular designs that you like. And now I think, unfortunately, there's going to be a slight delay until we get the landscape
Contracts.
architect and design firm that we select to take this and finish the process with
Okay,
us.
can we direct the manager?
Yes.
Upon selection
Yes.
of the new
Yes.
firm, as their
That a first priority-
first priority,
Yes.
be to bring back formal drawings
Yes.
that incorporate a couple different options for us with regards to this park.
Yes.
That we would discuss
Yes.
with them.
Okay. I agree.
is that-
I
we have
agree with that.
consensus for that?
Yes, I just want, you have consensus, or
Good.
from me, support. It looks like we have consensus. Gary, did you have a preference, or we?
As between these drawings, certainly either E or F, and I can't tell the difference between E and F, but both of them have significantly more green space and grass than the other, so I would go with either one of those.
Okay, thank you. And we are on the same page that we are not going to pursue underground parking at this time? I know, Ed, you
I
decided.
disagree. I think
I know you.
we don't pursue it, get a bid. What's the difference?
I would do it. I would look at it. I think it's
I
a
would-
better
I would look
project than
into it
above
also.
ground.
Get a bid. What's the difference? You don't have to have plans drawn. That can be design build.
I would look into it, and find out from our new firms, what they think,
There we go.
I think it's,
Eye in the sky.
But you're making your decision based upon what we heard from Stantec before.
I guess we have a need, we have an RFP, we have potentially a lot.
Well, I'm not against the other one, don't get me wrong. I'm saying I might want to do both of them.
Right, but we've got playing fields for $1.5 million. I mean, as much as I've always believed that this village has plenty of money,
All of a sudden,
we're
We're spending like drunk sailors.
I'm starting to get a little worried. I'm starting to get, when you take 400 grand and throw it into the village agreement and not get anything back, you get a little worried. So
I share your concern.
I'm worried about 800,000 in legal fees. What the hell's the difference?
I think
It's a long-term investment, Ed.
I think parking's a priority. Should we put all of our eggs into parking?
No.
No.
Yes.
And
By the same
what's
token,
going to get done the
And-
fastest?
And parking still needs to be further discussed.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say, should we go to the village manager's
There.
agenda? It's 10:30.
Regarding, yes, if I may?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, you're going to read it, or request for proposals for the Village Hall parking garage?
You did it, thank you.
Thank you. If you recall, at the last meeting on April 12th, I made a recommendation to the council to review an attached RFP for a design-build services to construct the parking garage behind the Village Hall and provide any comments or concerns to me by Tuesday, April 26th. I've received no information, no concerns, no questions, so therefore, the draft RFP that I presented, that you all have looked at, is now the RFP for the parking garage once we decide what we're going to do and how we're going to move forward. Remember, back in October of 2015, there was a motion made to direct the manager to move forward with efforts to acquire by voluntary convenience or purchase of the police parking lot from Miami-Dade County. At the same time, a motion was made to direct the manager to begin the process for the design build of a new parking garage. So I've done the design build RFP for the parking garage. We received a very, very draft copy from our appraiser, the appraisal company that we hired on Monday. The county has not received their appraisals yet, so I'm not in a position of discussing it, but I am accomplishing the two goals 3 months later, but of both the acquisition and for a possible parking structure.
Can't tell us what the appraisal was?
Frank and I are still having conversations with them about what the numbers are.
I think it's
I mean, you're going to
preliminary.
tell the appraisal he's wrong?
Huh?
You tell the appraiser he's wrong?
No, but there's it's good. It's a good draft. I think we're going to be pleased with the result, but it's preliminary.
What's his preliminary number?
It's in the.
Have we not gotten the
Sorry?
county one? We haven't gotten the
We
county
haven't
one.
gotten the county one.
No?
No difference.
And there is at least one economic assumption that might or might not be quite right, and it bears on the number.
What's the number?
Be patient.
He's not going to tell
That's
you.
ridiculous.
It's not ready.
It's what?
Okay.
It's not ready.
You got it? Did you get a draft?
Yes,
You got a number.
it's not ready.
You didn't get a number.
It's not ready. It's a draft. It's
Just
not
get a
ready.
copy of the draft tomorrow.
He'll show it to you. It's not ready.
Okay.
Next.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I feel like we're not any closer tonight than we were in October.
To the purchase.
To the purchase or to the design,
Okay,
build
but first
of
we
the
got to
drug.
purchase. I think we need to go full speed ahead with the purchase.
We directed the manager in October
You're absolutely
to do
right.
this by December.
You're absolutely
It's April.
Yeah.
It's almost the end of April.
Yeah.
And we don't even have the competing assessment from Miami-Dade.
Yeah. Well, we
What
can't
the
control,
hell?
we can't
I mean,
control
I'm going to
them.
be off this council before we even
Get an appraisal.
start fighting about the appraisal.
I agree with you 100%, okay? We need to move this process forward on our end. I understand.
Our constituents said parking was the number one problem in this village. We need to be answering to those people, number one,
Well,
in that survey.
whether parking is or is not is one thing. Buying that lot is absolutely necessary for us, one way or another, okay? So what we need to do is direct the manager to get this process done, finish it, and get back to us by a particularly set date with our side of the story.
I
Yeah,
agree, and
understand
that's
it takes
been
two
done.
people to dance, and obviously Miami-Dade is not moving along, but, I mean, there has to be a way to get this done.
Miami-Dade selected their appraiser for the second time. They selected initially, and then, I don't know precisely why, but they changed their mind on their selected appraiser. They submitted the order for their appraisal, which I think is compatible with our scope of work and our instructions, our valuation methodology to the T, several weeks before Easter. Ours came in Monday. I expect theirs is going to be in any time.
Have we reached out to Miami-Dade to see when
Every
their
day.
estimated
Every
debt?
day.
Okay.
Let's get our part
Okay.
done.
Our part will be done in a matter of hours in the next couple of days. It's not a lot.
Okay.
So what's the next step from there?
We received it at 9:45 yesterday morning. We will have, and we were going to talk, we will have a document back for council's review at the next council meeting
May 10th.
from the village. I cannot and will not speak for the county.
Can we have it before then? Can you mail it to us or email it to us?
As soon as we get the final, we'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Good.
So once both are done, would we then make an offer to the county based on that? Or what is the process to purchase that land following those appraisals?
There's two valuations in each. The first valuation is the only one that's important. They call it Scenario A, and it is the vacant and unimproved, no vertical construction, as is. If we are substantially close on those two numbers, that's the number. And we're going to make an offer, and we're going to buy it for that number. And it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a favorable number.
And they're anticipating that we're going to do that. That's been part of the discussion with Miami-Dade County.
Vacant and unimproved means with no blacktop, correct?
I'm not sure I understand that.
That's what vacant and unimproved means.
Vacant and unimproved.
Means no blacktop, highest and best use.
It does not mean highest and best use.
Okay, I guess
It's the
I was
opposite.
the appraiser used to.
It's a hypothetical valuation. There's a standard in appraisals that I didn't know about, but now I do because there's a description of what this means. It's a made-up valuation assessment. And the county and the village agreed on what that scope of direction to both appraisers was going to be.
Okay.
The only reason that Scenario B becomes relevant, which is highest and best, is if we, in the future, after we purchase it, no longer dedicate it for a governmental use. Then there is a change in the valuation and an uptick in the purchase price subsequently.
Well, it's not like we're going to sell it to anybody. It's going to be governmental use any way you look at it. We're going to use it in one way or another. It's always going to be the government.
Agreed.
We're buying it not to speculate in real estate.
County, but apparently there's been discussion that to the extent that you did not do that, and for some reason used it for commercial purposes at that point, they would want to be compensated
Well,
at
I
a different
understand
rate.
that.
They're evaluating it on that same basis, Frank?
Yes, yes.
They put that in writing?
Yeah,
Or they just said vacant, unimproved?
I think that you know, you.
Vacant, unimproved is not a normal
So what
appraisal
Ed
parlance
is
thing,
saying,
what
what
you're
Ed is saying is that when you value the piece of real estate, if you say vacant and unimproved, that means that you're not taking into consideration the cost of the asphalt on it.
That's all it
the, you know,
means.
the parking
all it
things,
means.
the grass in the middle, or anything else that's on there.
That's right.
That's what vacant and unimproved means.
That's
Yeah,
Vacant land.
I have to tell you this.
That has very little value.
That's exactly right.
That we're letting
That's-
off. It's got almost no value.
That's
It's
okay?
a nominal
It's
value.
it's a negative value, if anything. Okay,
That was the hard part of this negotiation, to get to that.
So I know, and what you're thinking is completely different when he's thinking. What you're thinking is that the valuation is going to come back like we're not going to ever build anything there. It's always going to be vacant and unimproved.
No,
That's
for
not
government
the case.
use,
That's not
for
what I-
government use.
It's not saying they
Government use.
build a government building there, but the land will have no value because it's not contributing to anything.
Correct.
That's what he's saying.
So,
And
so
that's-
could-
But
I'm not sure
again,
that that's the way
county-
Miami-Dade is thinking. Okay,
They I'm
and I've
sure their
always thought that
concept
from
they
the
can
very
approve
beginning, and I
totally
always had my skepticism.
Well, let's get the
hopefully it
appraisals.
is.
Can we put this on the agenda for 2 weeks from now?
Yes.
Because we'll have both appraisals
For
then?
May 10th?
Yes, please.
Sure.
I'm not saying both. I'm saying you'll have the village appraisal.
Fine. Let's,
Okay.
I'll
we
work
gotta-
my damnedest
we
to
got to
get-
keep our
Next
Go one
item,
step
please.
to the fire.
Myra,
Keep
Yes.
pushing.
can we go one step further, John? What I would suggest, if you get the appraisal and they get their appraisal ahead of time.
Make an offer.
Can you basically then, can you basically ask them what they'll take now that they got the appraisal?
Yes.
I mean, before next council, as soon as you can.
That-
We don't have to wait for the next council meeting to do it. That's what I'm saying.
That's the whole purpose of this.
And I think we gave him direction to do
Okay, I
that.
don't know if we did, but if we
beforehand.
didn't,
No, we've told the county that the moment they get it, that we're coming down. We were there last. This has been a long process, but we said as soon as you get your documents, we have ours, we're coming down. So, yes.
Next is status of Village Green Athletic Field Report.
Mayor and council, I'm not going to read the entire document regarding the playing field analysis, but in short summation, what you have as attached as Exhibit A is the consultant that the village hired for a second opinion about the playing fields on the village green. I think the report was very, very conclusive. I think that they identified, I know they did. They identified the problems of the past. They've made some strong recommendations moving forward. This is an expensive discussion because, in essence, they're saying that we almost have to start all over again. They have pointed out the fact that they believe that the design of the village sprinkler irrigation system for those fields back in 1994, 95, something like that, is inadequate to maintain the types of natural surface fields that we have currently. Why it wasn't caught before and why we had to have someone tell us this, 13 years after the fact, I'm not sure of. But at the end of the day, we have a recommendation. And we have done our due diligence as far as staff to give you additional alternatives to what we may put on that field. But right now, the recommendation is that we strip that field. We start with redesigning the irrigation system, and then we put back, if you want to put back a natural surface field, we put it back in an ability to be used in the same fashion that it's currently being used, with no guarantees, even with the additional additive of hiring employees and buying equipment and making this a full-time job 7 days a week
$340,000 worth
to maintain those fields.
per
So
year.
anybody have any comments?
I do.
Per year.
I'm just giving the overview.
I do. One is that, wouldn't our irrigation system be different if we put artificial as opposed to natural?
Yes, sir.
So we need to decide. We can't just take down what's there and then redo the irrigation system and then make a decision about artificial. Having read this, having been through the experience, having seen the overwhelming need and abuse that land is put to, it seems to me that it would not be a fiscally correct decision for this council, nor would it be the best choice for athletics fields for the kids to try against all odds and maintain a natural grass field there. I think the only practical solution is to go to artificial, because it can be done in time for the playing fields, and it has a much better reliability factor. And do we want to obligate ourselves with $300,000 a year in maintenance costs for a single athletic field for perpetuity?
Yeah.
That will only rise with inflation over time. I think it would be irresponsible to do that.
Before we make that decision and get there, I think it's fair that we look at the numbers and make sure we have the right numbers. Okay, what was put together here shows that it will take $1,019,000 in order to put the fields in good shape. Then it will cost another $340,000 a year to maintain them. And even then, we're going to have to significantly
take them out of
but put them in rotation, much less use than is being used today. And even then, I'm not sure it's going to work.
Right.
So now the flip side of that is that this $1,180,000 that it's here on this first page, I've discussed it pretty much at length with Todd. It's not a real number. Okay, this number includes this crumb rubber, sort of like in an M&M, where the crumb rubber's in the inside and it's covered so that the rubber it's not on the outside. Todd, I think, may be better able to explain it, but it was something I said, Todd, anything that has crumb rubber is going to be a major problem
So
for us.
it's what, like encapsulated crumb
Yes,
rubber?
it's exactly what it is, encapsulated.
Okay.
Like an M&M. So I said, you've got to understand that that's going to be a big problem for us. Okay, so I think he's done a little bit more looking into, and the actual cost of the field with the organic infill material is $1.5 million. Am I correct?
$1.5 million.
Okay. Come on this. Okay, and that organic infill
Needs to be
material
replaced.
also works to lower the temperature significantly of the fields during really hot days. Am I right there, Todd? Yes. Yeah.
And how do you maintain that organic matter because it decomposes?
Okay, so let's let him talk about it a little.
Organic matter decomposes.
Well, basically, what I'm looking at is a bid that's been completed by the city of Miami Beach. One, retrofit their Flamingo field, and two, build an additional field with Revolution grass, which is the same grass that's at Mast Academy, with an option for an infill. That's the cool play. The way that option one was the cool play, which is an organic material with the SBR rubber underneath to provide the cushioning. They also gave the city of Miami Beach a second option, which is where you put a mat underneath, which provides the cushioning. Then you no longer need the SBR rubber. You just add the cool play organic material, no SBR rubber. That's what Miami Beach selected. Probably what would be most appealing to this community. It is more expensive. It's $11.25 a square foot versus $8.65 a square foot for the cool play and $8.25 for just straight SBR rubber. That's where you get the $1.5 million for the two fields, if that was selected.
How is it maintained?
This should not break down. It will need to be filled in more than rubber, but it's not significantly more.
What's that?
Do you have an idea of what the cost
what does that mean?
might be?
I don't have
Okay.
I was going through their bid today. They haven't even installed this. I really don't. I know the University of Maryland has installed this. There's not too many. Obviously, many more people are going to this with the issues with the SBR rubber, but I'll have to do some research to get you exactly the maintenance cost. It's going to be extremely nowhere near what we're spending today and what we would be spending if we did natural grass.
I'm working through this and trying to figure out what I think is best in terms of my decision. Are we contemplating just doing the north field and not anything else on the Village Green?
I mean, take the worst field first and see what happens before you do the rest, is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
it's for this project is just the north field, correct?
Well, the problem is,
Of the
what
Village
do we do
Green?
with the other field in the meantime? I mean, I think
Well, I'm
we need
sorry,
to make
I
a
thought the
decision
1.5 million would be
for both.
For both?
for both.
For both?
It is.
That's the amount for both.
If you're working through this, I'm working through this, and as I sit here right now, don't know what force on earth is going to cause me to vote for artificial turf yet. In fact, I'm going to go home and listen to Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi, wait for inspiration. But I find it, we made a mistake that was, in my opinion, substantially born of advice that we relied on after very close questioning and answers from somebody that we thought was exceedingly competent nationwide to answer our particular questions, and it didn't work. And I am not feeling like I want to overreact to that accident, that unlucky happenstance, and I'm not ready to endure this decision yet, but we have to work through this, obviously.
I'm not either, but I have to tell you that we did have a discussion of possibly just doing the North Field as a compromise. When, a year and a half ago when we were...
On January 13th, 2015, was the proposal from the manager to the council to put a artificial surface on the south field and to put the north field in natural grass.
And then we talked about it, and we wanted to flip it, and we had that whole discussion.
We reconsidered the motion in February. In March, there was a RFP to council regarding resurfacing with natural sod. I pulled the trigger on that because we were at the growing season. If we had not done what we did then, we would not have had fields in October. We are back in that same situation.
Yeah.
But
I feel strongly that we need to do something quickly. And if we were only going to do one field, I would think the south field where the games are actually played would be the one to do. But I understand the concern. I really think we were led down a path, both by our consultants and also by overstated fears about artificial. And my concern is our hesitancy will lead to the inability of
get anything done.
Football and soccer to have their seasons coming up.
But two things.
Yes, and then Mr. Kaplan.
The question is, what do we do with the other field if we only do one field? That's, we need to make a decision if we're going to go with artificial turf.
Yeah.
That's the first decision we need to make. Second, the decision is, do we do both fields or one? And if we don't do both fields, then what do we do with the other? Because it's still, we still need it. We need the fields. It's not like we can do without half of the village green. And what I was going to, my really big suggestion is that we should consider what's going to happen if and when we make the decision regarding artificial turf, because there's going to be a significant number.
Oh, we may get a referendum.
We
may get a referendum.
And I think that we should. And I think that we shouldn't be afraid of. I think that we shouldn't be afraid of the referendum.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think that maybe we should think about doing a referendum in order to get this issue once and for all decided, so we don't have that acrimony amongst everybody fighting that, you're doing something we don't want you to do, and everybody coming in here and 18,000 people like we had before. Why don't we just decide we're going to do a referendum and ask the people? But if we do that, what do we do for the next year? That's my biggest question.
Mr. Gross and then Mr. London.
I'm not a big fan of artificial turf, but I don't think we're going to find anyone that's going to tell us that if we resod the fields and put in a new irrigation system, I don't think we're going to find anyone that's going to tell us, I guarantee this is going to work, or I'm almost positive this is going to work. We're going to get all kinds of caveats because people that do this for a living, the experts in this area, are basically telling us in all kinds of different ways these fields have too damn much use to have any kind of grass grow there on a consistent and decent basis. Therefore, if we want to have these as playing fields, it makes absolutely no sense to do an experiment with half of it and turn the other. What are we going to do? Spend $500,000 on the other part to see if grass will grow again? I mean, we're either going to go with artificial or we're not. And my inclination is, I don't think we have any choice, because we have an extremely active athletic program. We have a growing population of children and youths in this community that are going to be playing, and it's the only thing that's going to stand up. Everyone we talk to is said the same thing. One of the people we interviewed just tonight said 70% of all the fields that are being built today are artificial turf. Well, there's got to be a reason for that. So I think we just need to man up and woman up and make a decision. And if the community wants to take this to referendum because they don't like our decision, they have the prerogative to do that. But we need to make the decision. We need to make the decision that's in the best interest of the community, in the best interest of our kids. And personally, from everything I've heard and read, I don't think we have a choice.
Mr. London.
I think we were going to do artificial turf before, but I think the junk science and the people that came here and sent us 41 different articles from newspapers which really said nothing and basically made us think, hey, we're going to do this. Our kids are going to get cancer. They're going to die. All these things are going to happen. They're all going to blame it on us. So we decided to go with grass. Grass is nice. It doesn't work, but grass is nice. And I agree with Gary completely. I know Mike probably feels the same way at this point in time, that, just let's go and do the right thing. If they want to have a referendum, fine. If we wait for a referendum, Lucio, then basically, again, the people who are really against it will go out there. They'll be disingenuous. They'll be misleading. And the people who are against it will show up to vote, and the other people won't.
I don't think you're right.
Well, anyway, I'm all for doing it now and getting it over with and doing the right thing so the kids can play on the fields, and we're going to have a good artificial turf. I don't expect you to vote for it, Frank. By the same token, I think everybody else here who's experienced this thing knows we have no choice.
Mr. Holloway and then Mr. Kaplan.
If we do go to a referendum or put it out there, do we have time to get it on the November ballot?
Yeah.
Well, first, I need to request permission from the Supervisor of Elections if we can add another question to the ballot. And then they need our document, an ordinance or resolution or whatever we decide with a question for the ballot by, I believe it was August 29th.
To put it out there.
By August 29th?
Right, but I first need to, before we go ahead and approve the ordinance, I need to ask them if we can.
We also have to decide what it is we're doing. I mean, this is a very unusual request. In other words, are you taking a straw poll? Do you intend to be bound by this? I don't know what you're proposing. Is it just like, well, what do you all think? And whatever the majority says we're going to do, do you want to be bound by it, or is it a straw poll? If you want to be bound by it, we need to put in there that this is going to be binding. It'll become an ordinance of the village probably, or a charter, even a charter amendment. I'm not sure exactly how we present it to them. But I think that if you want to put it out for a vote, first you got to decide, do you want it to be a binding vote? Whatever the result is, it's out of your hands at that point.
Okay, here's the thing. So if we decide to go ahead and vote on it, and I think we have the votes to agree on moving forward with a different solution, what's going to happen when they come up with the 625 signatures, which they will? I mean, I'm just suggesting that we cut that off. I mean, that we initiate the.
Yeah, I mean, but every controversial decision potentially is subject to that.
Okay, but I think we have to be realistic and understand that if we make that decision, it's going to happen, and then we're going to be stuck without fields, and we need to go to the next step.
That's not true.
It might happen.
Huh?
It might
That's
happen.
not true.
What, we're going to keep going without spending $1.5 million without?
It might happen.
You're doing it with the dog park.
You don't know what's going to happen. It might happen.
You're keeping it going. You decided not to stop on the dog park.
Park is completely different. And you and I know why it's different. Okay.
No, but I'm saying it doesn't necessarily mean that everything stops.
No, I know, but
right.
What's the prudent thing to do? I mean, if I've said what I had to say. I don't know.
I'd like to make a motion that we take out bids for artificial turf for both fields. That would be my motion.
Second.
I would like to make another comment. I think that everything in life is about choices, and what we're confronted with here is a really big choice. The choice is, are we going to significantly limit the athletic activities of the kids in this community? Because if we put grass on here, that's the choice. They're not going to be able to use it to the extent we've been using it for the last couple of years. No one will say it's going to stand up. So if the community wants to cut our athletic activities by 30% or 20% or 40% or whatever it is, then maybe that is a choice they want to make. I personally don't think so. I really don't think so. So I think we just have to move forward with this. We have to do what we think is best and see what happens.
I need a motion to extend the meeting, please.
Yes, do I have a motion to extend the meeting?
10 minutes?
10 minutes?
10 minutes is fine.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Dr. Keller?
I just want to say one other thing, just to help you in this decision. I know it kind of forces the issue, but there is no option today for grass fields that will give you grass fields next year.
That's
Okay,
what.
there is no option. You're beyond the growing season. You cannot grow grass fields for play next year. So if you're going to go with grass, you need to come up with an interim solution for play fields in this upcoming year. There is no choice.
There is no solution.
But I don't know. Maybe you rent. Maybe you go out someplace else. I don't know.
Sod?
Yeah, buy grass and try to get it to stick.
We're,
I don't think,
Glue and sod.
we need,
Green side up.
You know, we need to take a breath.
carpet.
Yeah, we need to take a breath here and just realize we've done this.
Several times.
We've done this. We built the field at Mast Academy with artificial turf that's being used by village residents right now, and nobody's saying, get a referendum and tear it out. Their kids are going down there, they're playing on it.
They're asking to tear it out.
They're using it. No, a minority of people are asking to tear it out.
They haven't gone that far yet.
So, but this is not unprecedented, is my point. And that field is standing up to use fine. And the newer version should actually be a better experience for the kids with organic infill than that field. I think we need to do it.
Okay, I have a motion
I
on the
will,
floor.
you know, a couple things. Shotgun, few thoughts. This is the Village Green. It's not a stadium. In our history, it has been an important principle that this be a multi-use park. As I sit here right now, don't know what my feeling is about de-emphasizing use versus artificially turfing our green. I think it's a rather radical decision. It's a big change, and it doesn't sit right with me, and I'm not there yet, and I may never get there. And I'm not naive about this, but for example, the use in the field is complicated by more than youth sports. If we wanted to start trying to calibrate the overuse of the field, I don't think we've had a sufficient discussion on how to do that without compromising youth sports, or compromising youth sports within some acceptable limit, if there was such a thing. I'd rather look at, as I sit here right now, alternative fields than I would turf the green. I was not particularly persuaded, just for information, by the reports on toxicity and injury, although I listened to them. But that wasn't the most compelling feature for me. The most compelling feature for me is taking our green and making it artificial. That is a jarring proposition for me.
First of all, I don't know of any alternative fields unless we're going to bus the kids to Coral Gables.
Well, maybe he's got an alternative field.
We haven't studied it. I don't know.
But I mean, they have studied it. That's what they came to talk to us about. There is an alternative. We can spend $1 million and then $340,000
No, I thought he was talking
cut down the use.
Geographically alternative.
Yeah. The field off of 95 as you're driving up toward It's Wynwood, right. I see that field vacant all the time. It's brand new.
It's artificial turf.
It is artificial turf. And I'm aware of the fact.
We
Can't use that as an alternative?
play there and tackle football. It's artificial turf.
I'm aware of the fact.
It's Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah, it is
He
lots
wants
of
to
money
use,
done.
he wants to use artificial turf elsewhere. I understand where he's
No,
going.
no. I'm aware of the fact that people are using artificial turf when they're building stadiums, for the same point that we're discussing. This is different for me. This is our green.
Yeah, you know what? It used to be our green. Now it's the primary athletic field on Key Biscayne. It's not.
Maybe that'll change one day.
It's not. It is no longer the village green.
I think it is the village green.
It is.
It's like Gary said. It's
Wait a minute.
but it's a tough.
We're talking about covering 30% with artificial turf, and the rest of it, 70%, will still be grass.
This is the way it looks right now?
That's the geo. I did the measurements myself. It's 30% of the park.
And by the way, that's not the village green anymore. It's the village brown. It's the village sand. It's the.
No, but when was this photo
There's
taken?
nothing green on that field.
Oh no, that's older.
Okay, this is not a photo of our fields.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. The overuse has eliminated the option of natural grass on that field, unless you restrict it to non-athletic activities.
I don't think that's what this report says. This report says a couple things. One is that we made a mistake on the irrigation the last time we did this, and we undertook a big expenditure, and we put a lot of reliance in something that didn't work. And I think part of that is because we were not well advised, and that's the main thing. I don't think we were just hopefully optimistic. I think we were not well advised. And so to overreact to that failure and conclude that it is impossible is not where I've gotten to yet. And I know you have, but I'm not there yet.
Hey, you know what? I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's a recognition of the reality that we're in, and that our primary focus should be to have a reliable surface for our kids to play organized sports on. That's not an overreaction. That's a statement of where things stand.
Well, we all want that.
No, we all want that, but only doing artificial now will achieve that for the upcoming year. But the alternative, in my experience, is that we will hand wring and delay and do nothing and probably come to the same realization a year from now that, you know what, Mike's not here anymore, but he was right. It's not going to work. Now we're going to have to go do artificial.
They'll never get it.
And meanwhile, the kids are going to be stuck without a field to use.
Council members, we have 3 minutes. Wait, council members. We have 3 minutes left.
Oh, there's a motion on the floor.
Yes, there's a
Do we
motion.
need an extension?
Yes.
Okay,
We need-
another 10 minutes. Do I have a second?
It's only 12:07 there.
Yeah, the motion was to 11:10, so we still have.
Why don't
We do it fast.
You want to take a vote? This is a vote to get bid.
Yes,
You wanna take
I
a
would
vote?
like to do a roll call because
Well,
it's so contentious.
Hang on just one second. I ask one more question, please?
Sure.
Okay. If we were to say we want to spend $1 million to fix the fields and put grass in there, can we do that between now and the beginning of in September?
No.
Okay, then what is our alternative?
Well, the alternative is to tell the kids, hey, no sports, get in the village green.
In 3 minutes, Elsie's going to say, we're going to extend. Call the question on the thing for the.
No, but I mean, that's the alternative.
The motion on the floor is to put artificial turf for both fields, the north and the south field. at
I
Village Green.
don't think that was the motion. The motion was to instruct the manager to seek proposals for the
Bids.
placement of artificial turf on the two fields.
Yes.
Yeah, yes,
Thank you
okay,
for-
that's fair enough. That's a good motion.
You're not making a decision. You're going to get
Correct.
proposals,
That's
and you'll
correct.
decide whether you want to award it or not.
Correct.
That's a good motion.
Thank
So
you,
let's take a
Steve.
vote.
Yep.
Councilmember, Vice Mayor London,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaplan,
Yes.
Councilmember De La Cruz.
Yes.
Councilmember Gross,
Yeah.
Councilmember Holloway,
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Lindsay.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, 2 very quick items. Theo, I know you have an item. There are things that are very time sensitive.
You too?
He pulled
Deferred?
that, yeah.
All right, I'll defer mine then.
You'll defer, thank you very much.
Yep.
We need to do number 4.
We need to do number 4, which is appointment of a Key Biscayne resident to the City of Miami, Virginia Key Advisory Board. Michael Davey was barred from serving because he is running for office. So Robert Vernon, former mayor, and the Honorable Robert Vernon is willing to serve. Do I have consensus from the council?
Yes.
Perfect. The next item, which will be very quick, as I said, I've been approached by the K through 8 community, school community. They are incredibly happy and grateful with the improvements that were done to the different classrooms. Do I have support for a proclamation for the school board to thank them on behalf of this community?
Yes.
Great. Let me see. The last one is, or I have another one, policy for mosquito control within the village limits. As you know, summer is coming. It's mosquito season. There are some real concerns regarding the Zika virus. And I know that Chief Lang has been working on a mosquito he's been monitoring the mosquito policies in Miami-Dade County. Do we have instructions to give the manager for a comprehensive mosquito control plan?
If it's possible, yes.
If it's to the extent it's possible, working with Miami-Dade County in terms of spraying and what they're doing and making sure that we are covered as to the extent possible.
There's a parallel in the city of Marathon. They're doing this. It's municipal, it's local. We should study it because it's successful, I'm told.
Excellent. So that's
Where was it? I'm sorry.
Now it's 11:10.
11:10. Okay, last thing. Instruct. We have mandatory 4 hours of ethics based on state rules?
Can we bring them here?
Can we bring them here?
Well, we already had them here.
We have to do it again.
2 hours.
We need 4 hours.
But the other 2 hours are with the state, not with.
Yeah, right. I mean,
not with the county.
The other 2 hours, you have to go to the state presentation. Remember, we had 2 hours here and then 2 hours somewhere else.
It can be 4 hours. It can be 4 hours.
We
It
can
doesn't.
do these online, by the way.
Or we could just put it in video. Yes.
Couple things.
Yes.
The state stuff you can do online to meet the
Right.
requirement. County stuff you cannot.
No, but they were here.
They said we could.
We had them here.
You said you could do it online?
No, we had the Commission on Ethics people here, and they took the 2-hour course.
But we have to do it every year.
Okay, let me just try to finish, okay?
Do it every year.
The state
Mike, you don't have to do it, do
state requirements you can fulfill online. The county requirements you cannot. If you would like, what I've tried to do to accommodate councils is, our office has been approved to give the county course. Okay, so you don't have to go down to the county. If you'd like us to get that approval, we can give you the county authorized course, so you don't have to go down there. We can have it at maybe 2 different times, depending on when you're available and when your requirements are, because some of you don't have the same time requirements. People that got elected at certain times have different requirements during the year, so.
No.
Yes.
It's every calendar year, I'm pretty sure.
It depends on
When?
certain people who were reelected.
Yeah.
It's confusing. We'll work with each of you on what your requirements are, and then what I'm suggesting is, if you would like, we can arrange to have, of course, those in-person courses done here. If that's
Okay.
what you want.
I'd like to do it as a group as a cost savings.
But the Florida requirement, you have to do it online.
Online. But I think
Those are
Joe
2 hours.
Santorino, I don't think that the Commission on Ethics charges, or I don't know what they're.
No, they didn't charge us anything when they came over here.
Can we instruct
And by the way, we
our
can have them come and do it. I'm
Okay.
just saying that if you want to, we can do it for you.
instruct our village clerk to look into our different options so that it can address, whatever is good, but maybe give a couple,
I think
we
the
need to
first
have
thing
something.
we need to do
Okay.
is to work with each of them and see where, if at all, they are deficient, and then decide what course we need to offer.
Okay.
To get everybody.
Okay, guys, last, because it's an issue, you all instructed our PR people to come up with fact sheet, thank you, on the dog park. It was put on the dais for every person. Are we happy with this product?
Except every time it says dog park, remember the word dog. You leave the first part, in other words. It's a park, it's a people park. So basically, in the beginning, it says, what the hell does it say?
Thank you for giving me
People
this.
parks with their off-leash dogs. And everywhere else where it says dog park, just make it park. Title, Village Dog.
That,
I know the title says Village Dog Park.
Can it
but
stay there? Because I think it's
No,
critical.
that's fine, just
The
read.
title has to read dog.
No, that
Okay.
was
But I
fine,
understand
but you know what I'm saying.
Ed's point.
You
is
just
that-
reinforce
that this park,
Bring dogs, that's
you know.
Okay.
park
That's all, that's the only thing.
So that's very constructive. Thank you,
answers-
thank you.
Dog park.
Yes, we got it. We understand the instruction. Ed, I think that's.
You know how you want to massage the language.
I don't think they're
Last
growing in
item,
pop-
which
I don't
is
think they're
action
growing
item
in
list, let's
popularity.
put it on for the next. That's,
I think they're popular.
that I had added.
Can they put this into the
Whatever
calendar?
is left over, I'll carry.
can do
Whatever
right.
we have, because we have a few left over, I'll carry them.
Thank you.
Including Councilmember Holloway's item.
And I believe it's
Motion to
something in
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
meeting adjourned.
We're not
Thank
gonna
you.